So my weirdest gig was my first paid gig. It wasn't necessarily my worst gig. It was my weirdest gig though. I was in Des Moines. I did my shit up there. Some guy walks to me and goes, "Hey, I got a bar down in Kansas. You want to come down and make some money? You're funny as fuck." And I go, "Hell yeah, Bob, I'll come down there." I go to Kansas in this bar in this little town near Olathe, or I don't even know where the hell we were. It's my first paid gig. Here's the audience. You ready?
Yes.
Two truckers to my right. Truckers. TR with the semi hat. Six skinheads with their jackets. Yeah, like they made no bones about it, sitting in the middle table.
Real quick,
and an old lady and a bartender.
I'm an old punk rock kid, so it's fuck skinheads.
Yeah, yeah. So they're all bald, so I don't know. Like none of them had hair, so I could tell who the leader was. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so here we are. They're right in the middle, and then they got an old lady at the bar snorting cocaine out in the open, and the dude at the register. It was the bartender guy. So the guy comes up. I said, "Do you have an opening act? Do you have like a, because he wanted me to do like a half hour, whatever. And I just go, and he goes, "No, man, you're the whole show." I'm like, "All right, sure." So he gets up there and he goes, "All right, none of you guys start no bullshit." He goes, bringing up our comedian night. He's funny as hell, from Iowa. And the guy goes, "From Iowa?" Like, you know how like little town people get. They're like, "Oh, you only brought him in from next door. He ain't shit." Like if I had said, "Oh, he's coming from New York or something," like, "Oh my God," right? So I go down, I go up on stage, I start doing my bit. The truck driver turns his back almost instantly on me, and I got his back to me with the other guy kind of looking at me. I got the skinheads. I got the old lady at the bar. So I decided to jump right in. I looked at the skinheads, and I go, "Guys, I need some love advice." Okay? So for about 6 months, I'm banging this Jewish dude. And we're just going back and forth. And, and he's good. He's good. We're good. We're good for each other. Be damned if people don't like gayness. We love it. It's great. It's better than sex with women ever was. But I got to ask all of you this question. Any one of you can answer. He hasn't called me for like 3 months. Is that a bad thing? Dude, I looked at these guys because I was only doing it. To find out who the leader was. Because the rest of them had a look on their face like a dog looks at a piece of cooked meat. They didn't know what to do with it. The leader grinned. He knew I was fucking with him. He knew. And I said, "Okay, fine." So the truck driver goes, "He was banging a Jew?"
Bro Plata's back, bitches. That's right. Yes, we're here. We're having fun. I have vodka. What do you have, Tim?
What? I'm a good boy, man. I don't drink when I have podcasts, man. I'm professional. You kidding me?
You just drank up on the recording prior. What are you doing?
I do not know what you're talking about, man. I don't drink your damn devil juice. This is a good Christian podcast, man.
You turn it into red just by putting your finger over it, Yeah.
There may or may not be some Tito's in this drink.
Love it. Love it. I am Ray Hyclak. Next to me is Tim Danko, if I can figure out which way I'm pointing because I'm not mirrored. It's awesome. And this is the Bro Plata. You can catch us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We can get it in your teeth, possibly. Who knows? But we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today, Tim. And that is the sexy Tim Danko. I think I said that already. I'm sober,
That's
everybody.
me. I'm always here.
It's not good. But we have just a veritable raconteur of a human being. I met this man in 2013, and then again at a comedy show in Toth's Place in Menor. And he is an MMA agent, comedy star. He has also been in film, everybody. Give it up for Mr. Gene Walker, everybody. Yay.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank
Hell
you
yeah, man.
for having me. How you guys doing today?
All right.
Chilling. Luckily I've got alcohol. So, and I'm going to pick up some goodies later, which is nice. It's always a fun time.
Excellent.
And it's Gene Walker. You can catch him on pretty much anywhere. Lovely man. I want to start the podcast off, Gene, with a story, if I may. It's hilarious to me that we became friends at the show in Toth's Place. But I kind of knew who you were in Indianapolis, of all places, at a little bar called the 8 Second Saloon, where the Midwest Fight Series had happened for Octagon Productions and all that, man. And I knew you were an agent, like, immediately, just by, like, how you were talking to everybody and getting everything, which I loved, because I'm like, holy shit, this is what they do. This is great. But, like, you, for some reason, lost – I can't remember what it was, but, like, you lost your mind. One of your fighters, I think, didn't have, like, a test, or they were saying something about that. And I just remember sitting there, like, jotting down weights and heights and reaches and everything. And I just, like, I'm looking at you going, like, this man's a madman. What is this? I love it. There's something about it. There's something I like about it, man. And it was kind of funny that, like, I think it was 4 years later, we're on a comedy show in Menor, Ohio, of all places.
Like, why is this guy here? Yeah, right.
I was like, literally said, like, you looked familiar. I'm like, where have I seen this fucking guy? And all of a sudden, Jerry Jaffe was like, yeah, he's managed MMA fighters. I'm like, I fucking know that dude. Holy shit. How did you get into managing fighters?
Well, long story medium. I was around, I guess I wouldn't say that the epicenter of the start of MMA in America. But, you know, quick background of me. So I was military. Out of the military, I started doing personal security work.
Okay.
And was around a lot of fighters, trained myself, and blah, blah, blah. So I started getting into that. I was doing a lot of jujitsu, some kickboxing. That's about it. And then what happened was the sport came along, and I didn't like, and the truth be told, I didn't like MMA when I first saw it, or at least I didn't like the UFC when I first saw it, because it was a train wreck. I mean, it was this, you know, guys fighting guys your size. And don't get me wrong, a small guy can beat a big guy if they're both really skilled. But the problem is, if they're both really skilled, there's very little chance of that. And now, if you got a really skilled small guy and a dud big guy, well, then you're in business as a small guy. But that wasn't what was going on there. Now, I understood that they had to do what they had to do to go up against boxing, because boxing was the big chief back then. So you fast forward a few years, the Ultimate Fighter and Forrest and those guys did their thing, and I started seeing some regulation to it, some rules, some weight classes, and I started realizing, you know, MMA has got huge potential. And when I would bring that up to the boxing guys in Vegas, we won't name who they are, but they were the biggest in the business, they laughed me out of the room. It was a joke. They thought I'd lost my mind. But I got to meet Chuck early on in his career. I got to see where this was going. And I thought, you know what, this is going to be huge. And not only that, but I think when I saw the Vegas getting involved, the hotel guys getting involved, and I started saying, you know what, I hope this goes. What really jumped me onto it, though, was when I sat down, guys, and realized how many ways you can win and lose a match.
Yeah.
Blew me away. I mean, this is so far past boxing, even though I have mad respect for boxing. It's so far past anything I've ever seen. And I got into it, and I realized that the guys didn't have reps. They didn't have people behind them. This is still, to this day, and in a way, they are the blues singers, if you will, of the sports world. They don't have people behind them. And I decided to go out and get behind these guys and do what I could do. I had to learn the business. I took on anybody I could take on if they were at the end of their career, if the trajectory of their career was on the downside, if they were injured, it didn't make any difference. I started repping a bunch of people to give them their. One guy even said to me, if I could just get on TV before I'm done, he was in his mid-30s, broken down, I built like a story for my kid. And so we got him a TV contract for up at LFA on the show up in Spike. He got to, he got to show his kids. Another one got on Bellator. And, at the time it was great. And I just got into it from there. And what I realized was because I had already done some stand-up comedy here and there. And I was old enough, guys, with comedy where I was at the boom. I was at the tail end of the boom when I'm starting. So you get a gig for calling somebody up and saying, hey, I got 20 minutes. You know, fuck me, 20 minutes. You got like 5 minutes, you know what I mean? Whatever. And you go out, you go show up at, I don't know, it's like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. You don't even know where you're going. And you just go do your comedy. So I was kind of doing both at the same time. That's kind of how that kept going. So if I had long stretches where I had injured fighters or wasn't scheduled, I'd go do gigs. If I had stretch where I had a bunch of, fights, I didn't do gigs. And sometimes I did both. Sometimes I actually was in one town doing 1 week at one place and had a fight that weekend. And I ran from the fight to my gig and then back to the fight again.
Nice.
So it was absolutely, yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. So I'm in there entertaining the crowd and trying to drop pearls on these fools. I'm back over at the other place trying to figure out why my guy is still a pound over after he had years to lose it. So it was nuts. It was absolutely nutty, dude. It's absolutely nutty.
I can only imagine. And like, even you mentioned the boxing guys. One of my favorite videos I've ever seen was Rogan taking on, I forget the promoter's name. But like, it is kind of amazing in a way how like it has taken a while. And you being from basically the start of that boom, the MMA boom, it's funny to me now how like now we have promotion like cross sport with Conor and Mayweather and all that kind of stuff. And like, how frustrating was that when you heard those old time like promoters in Vegas saying, "Oh, this will never work"? What do you think they also said that when gloves came out? Like, it's one of those things where it's like progress helps, man. Progress helps.
The thing about the old boxing crowd that was still around Vegas when I was around there, or basically, for lack of a better word, guys, just old mob guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the mob. The mob ran boxing, and so when you're around people like that, these are not people you joke with much, because they weren't good folks. They were bad dudes, and I was brought up around bad dudes. So I've always tried to I think comedy helped me maybe be a little different. I think, because I was just raised hard, and I never wanted to be that guy, but that's what I come from. So when I told these guys, I looked them dead in the eye and said, look, you guys are sitting back, you've been the whale so long. I said, I don't think you see this coming. I don't think you see what you see. If you guys remember a movie called Carlito's Way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember that movie? Okay.
Great movie.
So in Carlito's Way, I really, even though I felt bad for Carlito at the end, because he finally got away from it, and then he ends up dying. But if you think about it, in a way, he was boxing, and what's his name from the Bronx was MMA. He was this dude that came around and said, because MMA was more than willing to share the stage. I never remember Dana or anybody out there saying, because he came from boxing himself in Southie in Boston. And we were, everybody was willing to share, and Aram and those guys couldn't stand it. They had nothing to do with it. And then all of a sudden, we just kind of stuck around until eventually one day, now you're willing to share the spotlight. Well, too bad, we're already in your fucking living room.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you, but it's going to happen now. Now you want to share? Fine. That doesn't mean I still don't have a healthy respect for B-Hop and Oscar and all the guys out there, because I do. Because I think anybody that walks in a ring or walks in a cage or goes and does a tournament, and you got the balls to do that, I've got respect for you. And very few people really boxy to even, absolutely, because anybody that's going to do that, I mean, how many people walking down the street have even been in a fist fight worth of shit? I mean, it's tough when you say, now think about this. Think about this for a second. And God bless them if they haven't. I hope they haven't, because the thing about fighting, and Joe Rogan said this, and it's probably the most poignant thing I've ever heard about people in fighting. He said the average person knew what it was like to actually scrap and throw down and they could feel that for a few seconds before they, like a sampler, like give you a shot of it before you take the whole bottle.
Yep.
Most people wouldn't do it. But what happens is they get out in the street. Now they're mad, they're talking shit, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, one's falling backwards and hitting his head on the concrete and possibly dying. He doesn't even know what he's getting himself into. So it's like the sheriff said, guys, the difference between the fighter and the person that doesn't fight is anybody can throw a punch, a sloppy one, a weird one, a wide one you see on YouTube. But it's getting punched or kicked and going, yeah. I like that. I need some of that. Let's keep going. That's the difference between the fighter and whatever. And I had to take some of that early on in my life too. I had to get kicked and punched and elbowed in the mouth and going, oh yeah, we can do this. And we get after and we start throwing down. And that's how you get going. But you got to understand, I was older too. So MMA really passed me by. I never really got, by the time I was really into it, I was too old. I was too old to, I just had a call. Okay. I was too old to do it at that point because I really should have started when I was like 23, 24, 25 and already been fighting. There's a small window in this. If you haven't already been going at it,
Yeah.
I'm getting calls, guys. Sorry. But that's, so.
It's all good, buddy.
I think
No, yeah, absolutely. Tim, you had a question?
No, I was just going to say that's how my experience with it, man. That's why I took the one fight I took in 2013 because I wanted to see what it was like. I was already a fan, but I always say that I don't pretend like I actually know, but I did say that I know more than someone who hasn't had any fights, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just because I learned in
True.
Yeah, and it was like that. I didn't know how I was going to take it, but as soon as I get hit with the first punch, I didn't know if I was going to do fight or flight, and I did fight. I got a punch, and I'm like, all right, brother, here we go. We're doing it. I didn't win the fight, but I had a lot of fun, and I talk to Ray about it all the time because he's talking about doing one eventually. I'm like, go ahead, man. You learn so much about the sport doing that, and it was a lot of fun.
I would definitely make sure that what you do is you go in and you train your ass off for it, and you make sure that you try to learn a little of everything. And don't worry about being the best, but just worry about your defense. Because I think a lot of times people go with the notion that first fight, you see it all the time, they go swinging for the fences because they're so freaking nervous, which I understand. But it's going to be your ability to keep yourself calm in that moment, knowing you've put in the work and being defensive and let the fight come to you. And that's going to help you in an amateur fight right off the bat. And I don't know how many rules Bernie and them have got over there in Ohio now for the amateurs. I know some places they make you wear insteps. Some places make you wear full up here, which sucks. But I think at least, I don't know if they've taken the rules, if it's similar to pro. You guys know more about that than me.
Yeah.
And for Danko, when you walked in that cage and that pin went in that door, there's something that, it prepares you for the rest of your life. And I think comedy does too, because I think comedy's scary. Comedy has got its own set of nerves that come with it because it's just you, baby. It ain't nobody else. Just you. You don't get to hide behind the guitar player and it's just like,
right.
So.
Yeah, I've said to the fighters we've had on this podcast before that one of the similarities between comedians and fighters is that fighting and public speaking are two things that most normal people try to avoid as much as possible, right? And fighters are like, hey, let's get in a fight. And comics are like, hey, I'll go talk in front of 200 plus people, right? We're both a little off.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, without a doubt.
I think I look, guys, and I look at any comic that stood back there one night and it dawned on him, you know what? I got 5 bits here or whatever. Oh my God, I'm gonna bomb. There's a thought that comes over your head where you're like, this was funny when I wrote it, but are any of these people gonna think that this is hilarious? And the anxiety that comes with that is really something else. I tell you, I start out basically, I told the club owner I got 15 when I had 4.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped up on stage, opened the show. I was horrible. They didn't giggle even at me, which is hilarious. I remember like the last bit I did blew the crowd up. I don't know how, because I already lost them. There was a guy that heckled me. For some reason, I Ginzu knifed his ass effortlessly. Nice. So I realized I'm funny. I just need to fucking learn how to write something here. I couldn't even put a concept down. And I started just getting out there and getting after it and going after show after show after show. And with the fighters, it was the same thing. I was unique in that when I started managing these guys, because I had a manager out in Los Angeles, a big one. I was the nobody on a huge list. And I remember being managed by, it was a scumbag. And I always thought to myself, I know what I don't want in a manager. I'm not going to be any of those things to my guys. And because I've already had the experience of knowing that feeling. And like, this guy's supposed to have my back, but he doesn't.
Yep.
But you jump on because hey, look, man, the guys at the top of the list are like A-listers and you want to be there and all that shit. But you do the best you can. I think I did comedy in probably every state, but about 5 or 6.
Okay.
Before it was all said and done. And I haven't been on stage for a while. I do miss it. This COVID bullshit sucks.
Yes.
But I will say that for anybody that's out there, just, it's not just, if it's more than just trying to be famous, if you really love doing it, you can't go wrong. I know it sounds kind of like old man cliche shit, but I'll tell you now that I'm a little older, guys, if you love it, you can't go wrong. And I don't care any comic that's out there, any one of them. If you do your own material, you get up and you live and you die by it, I got mad respect for you. I don't even care if I like you. I've got respect for you because you're doing something that very few people can do. And back to your point, big man, about that fighter that night in the 8-second saloon.
Yeah.
The bottom line, my guys, is you fuck with my guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget to take my fucking pills. And that's all there is to it.
And it should be a way that the agent is,
Well,
man.
it's
Like,
the-
that's exactly
it
what
should
an
be.
agent should be. Especially in the
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
game. Fuck, man.
Well,
You've
Yeah,
probably,
it's not. Let me tell you, you'll get laughed out real quick if they smell weakness. I got into it with a guy in Jersey, of all places, worse than the one you saw in Indianapolis, because they were dicking around with this freaking piss test. Are we going to take it? Are we not going to take it? When are we going to do it? When are we not going to do it? And I'm like, guys, can we just make up our mind? The guy snapped on me, and I'm like, well, fuck, that's what you want to do? So we're getting into it like crazy, like we're getting about to throw down. And then all of a sudden, one of Matt Serra's guys grabs me by the arm. When the guy looked away, he goes, this guy canceled. He was a commish guy. Said, these guys canceled fights here. Ooh. So please back off because you're came from Indiana. You don't want to. And he was right. His family drove out there. So I shut my mouth because I'm like, this is about them and not about me.
Oh, and Jersey, especially with the level of corruption they've had, even with their boxing commission over the years, is insane.
No joke. It's no joke. It's no joke. And I think some of the people in the commission are just fine, but the one I got into was just it was rough. But it makes for stories later on. That fight that, by the way, that you went to in Indiana.
I was a camera guy on. Yeah, I was actually
was involved in that.
Yeah, that was the Chris Lytle. He ran Midwest. Yeah, I thought he kind of like ran that organization. That was it. And I will say, I still remember that show to this day. That was one of the craziest, insane mixed martial arts events I've ever been to. I've been to 2 UFCs, and I've never been a part of something more fun than that night. Plus, I think I had one of the fighters' little brothers as my grip. So it was even more fun to like fuck around with him.
Right.
And do you remember, I don't know if you remember this fight. This kid came in off the street, basically. He wasn't affiliated with a gym. And it was Kavanaugh and Nutter were the commentators that night. Nick Nutter, former MMA guy or fighter in the NHB days, was on commentary. And this kid told him that that all his training was climbing cell phone towers for a living. That was his cardio and workout. And then he just kicked his bag in his garage for like his striking thing and lasted a round. Like he actually lasted pretty well and then just got just destroyed with a head kick. I'll never forget that head kick as long as I that thing killed him. I felt bad because I was the floor cam and actually would go into the cage too. I felt bad for this kid because I'm like, I have to put the camera on him, but it's amazing. This kid just like impressed the shit out of me, man. I love MMA because you can get those.
Yeah, I just took my guy down to Jack Wink we just got back from New Mexico 2 nights ago. And, we were really, really ecstatic with the way the coaches received Aaron and, obviously those guys are some of the biggest in the business. And that, you know, you think about all the people that have been through Jack Wink. I mean, George was there before he went back to Canada back in the day. You got Cowboy, you got John's still there. Holly was there, she's still there. So you got all these. You got Diego Brandao down there with us. You know, all these crazy. Like the whole gym is just full of gnarly, like very gnarly individuals, and the heavyweights are insane. And so Aaron gets in there and does his thing, and it just really, you know, like, to give you a quick story about Aaron. So I'm heading back from Kansas City. Or from Minneapolis, Kansas City, and then I had to go there for a meeting, and I'm jetting across after Friday night TV show. Saturday, somebody says there's this amateur fight in Donaldson, Iowa. And I go, fine. And says it's some rodeo ground or some ridiculous. I don't know. And I get in there, and I walk in, and it was the night, it's 2016. It was the night that guy, the BLM dude, said he shot those Dallas cops back in Dallas.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so it was really tense. And the reason I bring that up is because so the crowd is all white, all rural, all hick. There's about 1 million cops starting to pop up that are talking about this. It was tense, dude. It was that horrible vibe, horrible everything. The show's going on. Very few people are clapping, just the families. Nobody knows what to do. I don't know. I just, the news spread all over. Now, the reason I tell you that is because of what's coming up. So I'm about to leave, right? I'm about to leave because I'm you know, freaking tired, done with this. I'm about to walk out, and all of a sudden, these 3 black guys walk out. And I hear in the background, the song is "Why Can't We Be Friends" from the 60s. And I'm absolutely on my ass laughing. I can't stop it. Everybody's just looking at me, hate my guts. And it was so funny. And here he comes out with Aaron with his two friends. They were his corners. It was ridiculous. He goes in there. He's got these blades on. He's 6'2". He's bouncing the balls of his feet. He runs through this really tough amateur guy that I was kind of familiar with. And so I had to go ask him. I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Aaron." I said, "Aaron, when did you start training for this fight?" He goes, "They called me this morning at 7 a.m. for it."
Oh,
and I'm sitting there like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you shitting me right now?" So I knew. I'm like, "Walker, even you get this, you idiot." So yeah, I mean, I started bugging him. And he became one of my clients. In fact, after a lot of my guys retired, he's one of the few people I have right now. There are guys out there that are managing like 100 freaking fighters. It's ridiculous. They don't even know their names. And I got Aaron. It's hilarious. It's really funny. Now, there's a couple of guys we got an eye on. I know Tim has talked about one of his friends there in Ohio, I think is pretty good. And we got another guy we just signed at Albuquerque, starting out, that's really from Georgia. But I don't have a lot of guys, and that's not a model to make a lot of money in this business. But Aaron is such a blue chipper at this point that I really don't give a shit. I think we're going to go all the way with him, and we have the connections to make the movie. We have the connections to make the movies happen on the back end of his career if he makes a name like we need him to. I already got that set up for him, so we're looking good with him. But you know, it's one of those things where you got so many roads to go through. It's I think when they see some of these fighters get a little emotional, or some of these coaches. Or, you know, when they don't understand, I think a lot of people understand, the odds are so stacked against you even when you're really good, because you just never know what's going to happen. How many good comedians are not getting any play? How many good comedians are getting no play? And how many hacks get up there and freaking get to do their thing? I mean, you know, it's a business about connections. It's a business about all that. But I think if you're really good and you pay your bills, to this business, you might make it. And one thing for you comics to remember, and I will drop one name on this one. Please. Bernie Mac was one. Bernie Mac I started out doing all black audiences. So I didn't start out, except for the one show I told you about. I was the only white guy within miles of my first 15 shows, easy. And we're talking southeast side of Chicago, where like the shooting galleries are right now, 76 and Halstead and whatever. So when you see me on the Facebook talking about BLM, you got to understand, I've been called a black man in a white man's body. So you got to understand, I talk my shit. And if you're a Johnny come lately to this bullshit, I'm going to give you crap and piss people off. I don't even give a shit. Bernie Mac said to me, when I walked off stage, I didn't know who he was because he hadn't done the movies yet. He was just about to do the movies. He goes, "Looking to get paid, huh?" And I go, "Yeah. Who are you?" "The Mac Man." "You ain't been to the gym, motherfucker. You ain't been to the gym." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You doing all the nice folks up in the north side, but I'm going to take you downtown, take you right downtown." I went with him in his car. I didn't even know him. We drove all the way down. We drove all the way to 76 in Halstead. to a place called Sarah J's. And this club was so, like in the toe, that when I walked in, they had a picture of two women mud wrestling on the wall.
Yeah.
And yes. And he goes, we're gonna do some work up here. I go, your name's Bernie? He said, yeah. I said, hold on. I said, they're dancing. I mean, they're mingling. He says, no, they got us. He goes up to the guy. The DJ goes, oh, Bernie's in here. They stopped everything, and Bernie goes up on stage. And now people can't get their numbers. They got to stop macking on the girls. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, that's how it went down.
That's
Bernie
awesome.
walks up there, starts doing comedy for about 6 minutes. People staring at him. 10 to 12 minutes later, they're dying. That's how good he was. Like, that's when you know, like, you're not at that level, So then he goes, but he told me when I got up there, he goes, I'm going to bring you up with a quick 5 minutes. 5 minutes up in this motherfucker. And I go, okay, whatever. 55 minutes later, I'm following Bernie Mac in this club. Are you kidding me? with my 8 minutes, barely. And so I got up there and he goes, I'll never forget this. He goes, my little brother coming up right now. My little brother's coming up, and you better not give me no foolishness. I'm a good crazy on you, mother. And his eyes were popping out. And he brings me up, and they thought it was really his little brother until they saw my white ass. And then they're just like, oh, there was this shock look. One lady goes, oh, Lord, he's white, and just everyone starts breaking out laughing. And it was so great. And I killed it. I couldn't believe I was able to follow with my lousy 8 minutes. And we had such a good time. And I gotta tell you, man, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget him. And it was, stories of me and Chris Tucker in the back of a van while he was still borrowing $50 from Corey Holcomb. Are you kidding me? I don't even know if he paid him back for it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, dude, like, then he's making $20 million and whatever he's doing now. I guess he's a Christian now, whatever. But the point. I can't keep up with it. But I want to see something good happen for Aaron. I want to see something good happen for him. And I'll tell you guys, so that you know a little bit about me, and I don't want to go on too much about it, but I've been coaching kids. I've been around the inner cities a lot. Los Angeles, some of my kids went to the NFL. We did programs to get kids out of the gangs. I got a long, long relationship with the inner city. And I'm going to tell you, man, I don't want to go on too much because I might get a little emotional myself. I've seen so many horrible things. Yeah. And somebody asked me, they go, why are you putting all your eggs into Aaron? Just beside the fact that he's a blue chipper. And I said, because I want to see one less kid in the graveyard up there.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Forget me. Forget what I want. They're shooting people on Facebook live in the middle of the day in Chicago. They're killing babies. They're killing 3-year-olds, and they don't give a damn. That's what's going on. That's a fact. It's been going on forever. And it just drives me nuts. And I just want to see one kid make it. If he made it, if he blew it up, I might be able to even just stick a fork in it and say I'm done. If it depending on how big it got. But I just want to see him make it. And I know that sounds kind of corny, but I don't know, man. It's just too much sometimes.
No, man, I feel you, man.
And I get that, dude. Like, honestly, I'm going to say something before Tim does. I mean, it's also the idea of of those areas. And it goes even for like poor white trash. I mean, I am a white trash as the day is long. And that's something I've always like said. It's an attitude. And like, it's good to see that somebody is giving that person an attitude, because a lot of times, though, in those neighborhoods, you're called a sellout, you're called all this stuff for being successful, which I don't get ever. It happened in the San Diego punk scene with Green Day, even though I'm not a big Green Day fan. And then, I mean, then you do get those kids in those inner cities who come from poor places where fighting is legitimately one of their only ways out. Look at a guy like, again, Floyd Mayweather. We mentioned him earlier in the show. That guy was in a horrible, horrible situation, and through what he called, his normal catchphrase, hard work and dedication, he got his ass out. And there's a lot of people in those inner cities who have that defeatist mindset of just like, oh, we're here. Like that's fucked up. I don't like that myself. So Timmy, you have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah, man. No.
Oh.
First of all, I just wanted to say, you're talking about Aaron, and for anyone who doesn't know who we're talking about, they want to check him out. Aaron Mitchell, correct? Is his name? Mitchell is Aaron's last
Yeah.
name. Okay, if you want to check him
Yes.
out, check out his fights. I've seen some of his videos, man. Like you said, man, the kid's blue chip. He really is. But yeah, the way you guys are saying, what really bothers me, and this isn't fighting as much as other sports, and Gina and I have talked about this before. We both umpired baseball before, and this is a big thing in baseball, is travel sports. And because of travel sports, some of these inner city kids are getting priced out of sports for the first time. And that's a big thing too, man. And that really has been bothering me as well.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
And that scares me a lot because that's a lot of kids ticket to get out, and now they literally cannot afford to play like little league. That's really something that's happening. Yeah, it's just really a bummer, man.
This is.
We lost Gene. We lost Gene, everybody.
Oh,
That was getting good. I liked where we were going with that because that's actually a really good thing.
Me too.
We'll
if he gets him back here,
yeah, we'll get Gene back on. If when we can here. But no, man, what he's saying is a very true statement. I mean, it's this is pretty much one of their only like ways out is through athletics. And I've always championed it because again, I played hockey, which is not a very cheap sport at all.
Of course not. Yeah.
And it's like, and it sucks because you do go through inner city areas where there used to be baseball fields and now they're nothing. Right. And it's like, oh, how can you have that happen in, a society too? Like it's more on like, it is on those travel leagues that don't really, aren't city, because city leagues are a great thing. They're a fantastic thing. I grew up in one with hockey. You grew up with one in baseball, and it's like it's a terrible thing to really do. We're trying to get Gene back on right now. We have him. We have the audio. We can make him better. But no, yeah, it's Gene, we were just talking actually about like inner city sports again. So
yeah, and now. Do you see me, or am I like that?
I'm sending you an invite for the video as we speak.
Oh, there you are.
There you are. Go. We're back.
So my other half of my company basically is calling me, and I'm sitting there going, "Listen, I'm talking to two studs in Ohio. Can you please stop stalking me over and over? Can anybody just call and go, oh, he might be busy once in a freaking while? No, I'm going to call over and over and over again. What is going on?
Sometimes people gotta get what they need out, man. We've all been there, I assume.
You got a rainbow behind you. I'm so close to the prize. I ain't letting nothing, baby.
I got a little halo underneath it, which makes it even more angelic. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man. That's true. It's good. It's good to wear one of those, even if you don't earn it.
But yeah, after the phone and everything kind of went the way it did, we were talking about inner city sports for a sec, and it's like,
okay,
yeah, and without a doubt, man, like I grew up in a city league. I played hockey. I played with kids all over the city of Cleveland from different levels of economy and everything like that. And I think that is something that is missing along with in this society is the ability for everybody. I mean, how many places have you gone that used to have baseball fields almost like every block, and now it's like a 7-Eleven and where you get tattoos? Like it's the weirdest thing.
It's terrible. People say to me, they say, well, you guys are depending too much on sports to get the black kids out of the hizzy. And I say this to them. I say this to them flat out. I go, let me tell you something right now. I would be the first to tell you there's got to be more investment in business.
Yeah.
Keep the dollar in those communities is so important because it just goes quickly there. It really does. It's really hard for them to get anywhere. It's such an obstacle. But I also learned a lot about life with sports because to me, when my parents never pushed any prejudice bullshit on me, but I had people around me when I was a kid I'm just old enough where some of those N-bombs dropped a little freer than they do now, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And they would always be giving me shit about it. I'd be going, I don't know what you're talking about. I got 3 black teammates, 2 Mexicans, and an Asian. You can kiss my ass. They're my buddies. I don't know what you're talking about, all this prejudice bullshit. So we would have our thing and we'd have fun. But I learned to work with teams. I learned to get into like, and people need that. If you don't trust people, and coming from an environment like that, it's very hard to. Team sports allow you the beginning of those skills.
Yeah.
Because you have to trust them because they're right by you. And hockey, my goodness, that's a rough sport. That's because let me ask about Cleveland. You guys help me on Cleveland. So Aaron comes there and fights in Cleveland in, I think, 2018.
Okay.
We fought downtown at
Nautica, right?
The pavilion?
Yes,
yeah, the outdoor pavilion? Yeah.
Yeah, it's real nice.
Super nice. Like, I loved it. And we got really lucky, guys, because it was an August show, but it was beautiful at night. It wasn't super muggy or nothing. It was just so nice and mellow. I was almost concerned it was going to be too cold because usually when you're fighting outside, you definitely don't want it to be cold because the muscles contract. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And that's why they had those shows back then with like Hagler. When I was a kid, we'd see Hagler and them fighting out in the desert against Duran in Vegas. And these guys would be like, they by the time their show started, their fight started, the sun's going down. So now in the desert, you go from 100 to like 61 in like hours. And then it gets a little colder than that. So your muscles get tight. But it was beautiful that night in Cleveland. So here comes Aaron. Aaron wins this fight against a real tough guy. And I looked at him through the cage and I go, Aaron, nice and classy, Bubba, nice and classy, And he goes, oh yeah, I got you, big G. So he walks up there and he gets on the mic, and the first thing he says in Cleveland, Ohio is, thanks for coming out, everybody. Cincinnati, you've been great. Now,
oh no.
And he'd never been to Ohio. And there's a guy behind me that goes, oh my God, he just called us Cincinnati. It wasn't trying to disrespect nobody. And I don't think he even knew the rivalry of Cleveland and Cincinnati like I do, or like you guys do. So when he came back up the stage, I go, did you mean to say that? And he goes, oh shit, we're in Cleveland. I go, yeah. But they thought that he was actually bombing on them after beating their guy too. People were not happy with us. We were
he went full heel. We need to boo him.
Oh yeah, and he was a pound over or something, if I remember right. And the guy's wife was yelling, "Fatty McFatterson," and I'm sitting there, and this kid's shredded, guys. He looked. I only looked almost like him for about 3 years of my 20s, and I looked at the coach. I go, if he's fat, we're gonna die of cardiac arrest in like 5 minutes. No question about it. But Cleveland was beautiful, man. Cleveland it just looked great. But when I was a kid, though, watching the Browns games on NBC back in the 80s when they were about to go to the Super Bowl, people were calling Cleveland the mistake by the lake.
It's still there.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It's still there, Gene. I promise you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Really?
It's kind of funny too. We're known for like really bad shit, and yet like recently the river that caught on fire happened in Akron. Like I'm so like nobody could be happier than a Clevelander to be like it's Akron's problem now. Like it's hilarious.
I dug my entire car out of a pothole in Akron one time. Okay, I was up there for a gig. Yeah.
Gene Walker, you're not funny. I don't like you. Fuck you.
You know what, Mr. Walker? You come back tomorrow, maybe. I say fix the pothole. Don't tell me nothing. Okay? You drive, you go away. I go, fine. My tire's flat. Thanks, Bob.
Gotta love Pete, bro. You gotta love Pete.
That's Pete, the legendary owner of the Funny Stop Comedy Club. For those who don't know what we're doing, weird accents.
Cuyahoga Falls.
Falls,
Oh no, you were in Akron then? Okay, because usually when I think Akron at a club, it's usually like we go to the Funny Stop like immediately.
I did the Funny Stop one time, just driving through there on one of their you jump in kind of smorgasbord nights or whatever.
Yeah, the amateur night.
Jerry Jerry Jaffe was the MC that night.
Love him.
And so like a toast, and Jerry has got like 105 degrees from some university. This guy's fucking smarter than fuck. You know who this guy is right now. And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, damn, Walker, you're not like even close to as smart as this guy. So don't try to put on no airs and go up on stage, try to be something you're not. Don't try to be clever. You're a big blockhead, start swinging from the hip. And that's what I do. And it's always served me well. But I remember when I first started comedy, one guy that I saw an old special of that I really wish I could be, because you guys know me. You know I'm a spaz. You know I'm super loud. Nothing subtle about me. But there was a guy on stage I saw, you know his name probably, and he's been around for a long time, but Dennis Miller.
Yeah.
When I saw Dennis Miller do comedy, he stood behind the mic like Jerry Garcia back in the day. He didn't move a foot. He didn't move a foot. And he sat there like, hey, listen, Chinky. And he did all, he did all his shit. He was like, he goes, little kids getting in trouble, man. Listen, babe. They can make those license plates for Spencer's gifts. He was doing whatever he was saying. And I'm sitting there thinking, he moved a foot. He turned his shoulders. Yeah. I want to be this guy so bad. Then I get on stage and I'm such a spaz. I can't be this guy. And it pissed me off because he was super smart, and he was like, and not only he's super smart, but he just had it all down. And I couldn't be that. So I had to say, be yourself. You got to go with your flow. Whatever your flow is, do it. God be damned with the rest of the crap and just have fun. And you know what happens? And then what happens is when you start making people laugh on the regular basis, then what starts happening is I remember those two people that didn't. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done it?
Always.
Like things go good.
Always.
Yeah. You walk out and go, that table hated my guts. So everybody else seems to be.
Yeah. And the only thing you remember, you just remember their faces. That's it. You just remember them.
I do.
Oh, I know.
No, I do. I'm like,
no, it's everybody,
man. 190 people in here, and they're all going nuts. I got these three assholes on my right staring at me like, you look like the dude that dates our daughter. We hate your guts. It's so
right.
And usually they're always, for some reason, always in the front. It's like, how the hell did you get here? Like, I was a doorman at the Cleveland Improv, right? And I would always, obviously you would get those people that it's just they bought the ticket, then they get front row. But those are also the ones, for some reason, that have the biggest fucking attitude. And I have no fucking clue why. It's like you're in the front, you're right by the stage, and you're not laughing. What the fuck, man?
I wonder if there's a thing about, like back in the day, and I would only do crowd work as a sort of if it was off the top of my head. I didn't try to do crowd work. I would do it if it was there to do, but I didn't make a living on doing that, right? But there's a lot of people that know that the guys in the front, they'll get slammed if it's a comedian, like an old school comedian that does that kind of stuff. They're right up there by it. I think people kind of know that. So when they get to the front, then maybe they're thinking, oh shit, this comic's going to say something about my, my hair or my gut or whatever they're going to do. And I wonder if it's subconscious, but I just say, you're right. They're in the front. They're nervous as hell. They look like you're going to come down and take their money from them. That's the look they got in their whole show. And I'm going, you guys need to lighten up or I'm going to start getting nervous up here. I mean, this is ridiculous. How tight you are, but now let's see. So what's the worst gig? What's the scariest gig you ever did?
Tim,
huh?
Tim goes first because my story's long, but I'll definitely tell mine.
All right. So Ray asked me this a couple episodes ago, and I gave him a couple, and then I asked him, I'm like, do you know this story about me with our buddy Sean Lynch at Kent State? And he said no. And I'm like, all right, I'll save it for another episode. So you're asking, so I'll bring it out now. This was like 2014. We're in the student center at Kent State University on the campus, in the campus. And it's like the student center. And there's also a Quaker Steak and Lube in the student center. Like they bought out the student center to have be the restaurant there. But there's a stage there. And our buddy Sean Lynch is contracted to headline. And he brings me and he's like, hey, host a show. Do like 5 minutes in between everybody. So I do that. And he's like, but before you bring me up, do that bit you did last night in another show we had about your high school choir and that weird situation, story about high school choir. I'm like, okay. So I'm about to bring him up. And like I said, this is a restaurant. So there's a lot of kids that weren't really paying attention. There's kids with their backs turned to us. So some people weren't even really paying attention to the comedy. And the student group that put this thing together, coincidentally, they were all black kids. And the reason I say that is because what my story is about. My story is about how when I was in high school, all white high school, in choir, we had to sing a Negro spiritual one year. And it's called Going After Glory, and it was like sun up to sundown, picking that cotton, work for the master, no more auction block for me. And that's the whole story about how ridiculous it was and how awkward it was. But these kids only heard buzzwords. They heard picking cotton, they heard Negro spiritual. They were so angry. They were in the middle of us. They weren't paying attention to anyone, but they were so angry. They were just death glaring the entire time. And I brought Sean on to headline, and they didn't give him the time of day. They were all pissed off, and Sean just kind of did his time and got off. And they were yelling at Sean, said, "We're not going to pay you," blah, 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 which he was under contract. They had to. But they're like, "We want him to go on stage and apologize." And he's like, "Dude, it'd be a lot easier." He's like, "You don't have to." I'm like, "Dude, if they're going to pay you now, that's all they want. I'll go up." And I'm like, "Okay, guys, comedy is subjective," right? They literally walked me off the campus. They walked me off the campus and told me never to come back. Of course, those kids are long graduated by now, but yeah. And this is true because we know another kid who went to school there, and apparently for 4 years after that, they didn't have comedy there. I ruined comedy at the Kent State Rathskeller, the Student Center, because I told a joke that was apparently racist. Even though, if anyone who hears the joke, including all my black comic friends, they said that's not. The point is making fun of the fact that we had to do that song, and that's the story. But if you only hear buzzwords, it sounds like I'm saying something I shouldn't. Oh. And now I did learn that I probably just shouldn't have done that bit there in that situation. I did learn that. But yeah, it was ridiculous. And me and Sean and Anthony Savat was there as well. You know, Anthony, we talk about it all the time, man, to this day. And it's still one of my favorite stories to tell. And when I tell the choir story, I also tack on a version of the Kent State story too, because it was funny. That song has got me in trouble so many times.
Tim Danko dead in Kent.
No more auction block for me. That's the song. So it's a bit. I love doing the bit, and I'm gonna keep doing the bit.
What would be great is if some studio could like jump the shark right now, and instead of getting rid of Blazing Saddles, make a 2.
Yes,
right.
I was also thinking Slapshot.
There's so many people that would love that. It really is, but
Slapshot couldn't be made today at all. There's way too many words thrown around. Way too many.
What about the original Bad News Bears?
They tried to remake that. No, Billy Bob Thornton was no John. Or what's his name? Why can't I remember his name?
Butterworth.
Huh?
The manager?
Yeah. From Odd Couple.
Buttermill or Butterworth or Butter something like that.
Yeah, but what was his name? Was his real name? I can't remember. He was in the Odd Couple. Yes, that's it. Walter Matthau. I love Walter Matthau.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you had Tanner dropping every racial slur in history off the camera. There wasn't one hit, I don't think. And he it's wrong. He was on camera. Forget that. He was on camera in the parking lot dropping them all. But my favorite bit, that was amazing. But other than that, when he went over to the they had a med, the right fielder.
Yeah.
The dickhead Yankee coach comes out, and he got hit in the Balzac with the ball. And I remember he comes out, and the Yankee coach is not even their coach. He just comes out and goes, "Oh, he needs a stretcher." And Tanner goes, "Shut up. Shut the hell up." And he goes, No, he needs a stretcher. And then you hear Tanner off the camera go, "For his balls? He needs a stretcher for his balls?" The guy goes, "Look, kid, I got this. Just be quiet, okay? I got this. For his balls." He said it again. It's like, those are like, you can't make movies like that because they're too real and too funny. This bullshit they're doing now, where everybody's all freaking sensitive about everything, is just fucking horse shit. I love it.
But that's the thing. Like, there are movies out there that are still like kind of uncensored and keeping themselves together. It's just they're more independent movies, which I will say I like independent film because of that. A lot of times they will use those because they're not mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessary to do it just to do it, but if it fits, just like anything else, if it makes sense, if that's the tone of people, then let them do their thing. I mean, Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Or freaking any movie you saw over the years, like Reservoir Dogs. All the stuff that, if it makes sense with who they are, let it go. Have fun. It makes no sense if you're just doing it to do it. and it doesn't make sense. Obviously, you look like an idiot. What's your worst gig?
Oh God, let's put the camera on me for this embarrassing moment. It's not as bad as Tim, which is great because I thought like he was gonna give me something that was like way worse or like not as bad as mine. Because every comic, really, if you think about it, like we all think our really bombiest like set ever, like it's over at that, or like it's always the worst. I'm at Hilarities for their 11 o'clock showcase that they would do on a Saturday, 11 p.m.
Nice.
It was perfect. Sam was there, like the booker was in front, or not in front, but he was like running the sound. I don't know if you know who, like Cody Cooper was the host of the show, and I wind up he goes up. Crickets for most of his set. They were kind of like one of those kind of crowds.
Yeah.
And by the way, have 5 people with me. This is the biggest crowd I've ever brought to a show ever. Like this, and that was like a year and a half. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And like a bunch of other comics before me were not doing well. Let's just say that. A lot of my friends were just like one of my favorite people in the world, Jasmine Carter. If you guys, she's out in LA now. She's great. I love her. Wore a fucking prom dress. She had just come back from a prom because she was like 18 and she was going with Sean Boyd's, I think, son Adonis. And she got nothing. She's wearing a fucking prom dress. Like she gets nothing for showing up in a sparkly ass dress looking like a better version of Cardi B. She's lesbian, so I can say that. But anyway, I go up. I do my 40-year-old bowler body joke that I've done for fucking a year and a half now. Nothing. I go in to the biggest panic mode I've ever encountered in any form of my life, right? Like I'm happy, I'm excited, but at the same time I'm realizing, oh fuck, I failed. Shit, this is bad. Like it might, because you said it with like they're gonna hate me, fucking they're not liking me, all those things from high school. Like it's funny how a comedian is, because you're just like, it's fucking like I'm in high school again, nobody likes me, and I'm completely out of sorts. I'm without a doubt like I'm in my own skin, Gene. I'm in my own goddamn skin, and I get nothing. And I don't know if you remember the bit that Mark Maron does about Bill Hicks when he's going to the bathroom, and all of a sudden he goes, "There's a suction to the silence." It was like that. I was so mortified. I had my girlfriend at the time there and like 4 of her friends, and I'm just eating so much dick. Like I'm fucked, dude. I'm completely up there. I'm at Hilarities too, so it's already bad. It's really shitty. And then I go to the bar afterwards, and you've probably had this after bad sets. You just go like this, where you put your like fingers up to your mouth and are like, is this really what I fucking want to do with the rest of my goddamn life? What the fuck is going wrong with me? My buddy Milton Wiley comes over and is like, it wasn't you. Calm down. All this shit. And what brought me out of it, luckily, was shout out, by the way, to Josh Morrow. I love Josh Morrow, former host of LVT. Do you know, Gene, do you know Josh Morrow by any chance?
I don't. But that doesn't mean he's not. You know, who is he? Is he over there in Cleveland?
Yeah, he's a feature act and a headliner for like bars and stuff. And I'm going to put the camera on myself. And I'm not saying bars are a bad thing. Like, you're making your money. I'm not going to shit on you for that.
Right.
But what brought me out of it, because I was really contemplating quitting comedy. Like, I was so done after that set. He comes up to me at an open mic he was hosting at the time, and kind of like looks at me, and then looks at the TV like, should I say something? and immediately goes, "What the fuck happened to you on Saturday?" And it snapped me out. It really did. It snapped me out of my funk, and
Yep.
he kept me going. Like, Josh is the reason I still do comedy to this day, and I'm decent at what I do. Like, Josh Morrow gave me that confidence to be like, bad set, time to move on, time to get there. Because every set to me, when you're, and you know this, when you're young and you're like starting out, and Tim can attest to this, it's like, it's more, it's like martial arts. More reps you do, the better you're gonna be.
Yeah, no
And
question.
I learned that from that bombing, and I've never, in my head, I've never done as worse as that night. Like, I've never done as worse.
You know what?
Oh,
There's there's so much relatable there because number one, any comic, I don't give a damn who they are. If they say they never ate shit, they're fucking lying.
fuck
That's
yeah. Fuck
unless they
you.
only did, unless they did, like, see, I never brought people ever. So the one thing that I brought like one friend one time, but I never brought people. I always did it on the road. I did it. I traveled. I would do local shows. I wouldn't tell nobody because number one, if I wasn't going to do good, I didn't want anybody to fucking see it that knew me. And I was just kind of like, that's kind of how my attitude was. So here's the deal. So two quick things. One was, and I'll make the one short and a little bit longer. So the one part of it was relatable. I had a weird gig. I mean, it was just a weird night. I walked outside. I'm in an alley because there's always a fucking alley by half these clubs for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I go out in the alley and I'm walking around. This big rats running around, and this drunk dude, he's just sitting there against the wall. And he goes, "Were you one of the funny guys in there, man?" And I go, "Not tonight, Bubba." And he goes, and he said to me, he goes, "Well, the question you got to ask yourself is, who gives a shit?" He goes, "Would you be doing this shit in an alley if I wasn't here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I probably would." He goes, "Then you already nuts, motherfucker. Now get your shit together." And he fell over. He fell over into a can. The biggest words of wisdom I ever got was from a drunk guy who didn't even see how bad I was. It was the best shit ever. So that kept me going because then I said that the next gig, I go, "Guys, the pressure is off of you to be a good audience because if you weren't here, I'd be doing this for a rat out in the fucking alley." And everybody started laughing, and I was back on the bike again. So my weirdest gig was my first paid gig. It wasn't necessarily my worst gig. It was my weirdest gig though. I was in Des Moines. I did my shit up there. Some guy walks to me and goes, "Hey, I got a bar down in Kansas. You want to come down and make some money? You're funny as fuck." And I go, "Hell yeah, Bob, I'll come down there." I go to Kansas in this bar in this little town near Olathe. I don't even know where the hell we were. It's my first paid gig. Here's the audience. You ready?
Yes.
Two truckers to my right. Truckers. TR with the semi hat. Six skinheads with their jackets. Yeah, like they made no bones about it, sitting in the middle table.
Real quick,
And an
before I
old
do
lady
that,
and a
fuck
bartender.
skinheads. I'm
Yes.
an old punk rock kid, so it's fuck skinheads.
Yeah, yeah. So they're all bald. So I don't know, like none of them had hair, so I could tell who the leader was. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
God.
here we are. They're right in the middle, and then they got an old lady at the bar snorting cocaine out in the open, and and the dude at the register. It was the bartender guy. So the guy comes up. I said, "Do you have an opening act? Do you have like a, what?" Because he wanted me to do like a half hour, whatever. And I just go, and he goes, "No, man, you're the whole show." I'm like, "All right, sure." So he gets up there and he goes, "All right, none of you guys start no bullshit." He goes, "Bringing up our comedian night. He's funny as hell from Iowa." And the guy goes, "From Iowa?" Like, how like little town people get. They're like, "Oh, you only brought him in from next door. He ain't shit." Like if I had said, "Oh, he's coming from New York or something," like, "Oh my God," right? So I go down, I go up on stage, I start doing my bit. The truck driver turns his back almost instantly on me. And I got his back to me with the other guy kind of looking at me. I got the skinheads. I got the old lady at the bar. So I decided to jump right in. I looked at the skinheads and I go, guys, I need some love advice. Okay. So for about 6 months, I'm banging this Jewish dude. And we're just going back and forth. And, you know, and he's good. He's good. We're good. We're good for each other. He damned that people don't like gayness. We love it. It's great. It's better than sex with women ever was. But I got to ask all of you this question. Any one of you can answer. He hasn't called me for like 3 months. Is that a bad thing? Dude, I looked at these guys because I was only doing it. I was only doing it to find out who the leader was. Because the rest of them had a look on their face like a dog looks at a piece of cooked meat. They didn't know what to do with it. The leader grinned. He knew I was fucking with him. He knew. And I said, okay, fine. So the truck driver goes, he was banging a Jew? The lady at the bar is on her ass. She is laughing so hard, I think she's going to die. The bartender and the main dude are looking at me like, why did I bring this guy down here? That was my first paid gig. That was my first paid gig, dude. And after that, dude, I just would go to clubs because I do all these bars and these like biker joints. I did biker joints with like 50 dudes in some horrible bike gang turning around looking at me. I did a gangbanger joints. I did black clubs. That's when I started doing a ton of black clubs. And I started doing all shit. So when I went to like a nice comedy club, like a Funny Bone or a freaking you name it, it was like walking backwards. I could pick my nose and make them laugh. Yeah. Because you went through the toughest gigs. And I actually had to remember that when I was in a paid audience, paying, 2-drink minimum, maybe paying the ticket, maybe paper, whatever, I had to watch myself because this crowd isn't as tough as those crowds. So I had to watch myself and to make sure I wasn't being as rough on them to get through it because it necessarily wasn't the case. And a lot of my friends who also did black clubs, black comedians, they had the same problem because they were going into the roughest joints where if you didn't make them laugh instantly, they were calling you names and whatever. And then you go to a nice club and you're still got that same energy because that's where you've been getting your chops. It's like Def Comedy Jam stuff. But the paid audience is sitting there like going, all right, like they like you, but you're doing too much, if that makes any sense. All of a sudden now you're too much.
I've
trying
seen
to balance those crowds out, the vibe for me. And real quick, I did a prison. I did Joliet Max, dude. That's where I met Chris Tucker.
Did you walk out like Jake Blues? Please tell me you did.
I put on the whole thing and came out as Jake Blues. That's exactly what I did. And none of them got it. None of them got it. That's the best part. None of them even. They didn't. I guess it was just far enough along. They just didn't care. They just stared at me. I got nothing, like the prom dress here with your friend. But here's the thing though. So it's Adele Givens, me. I think it was Bernie. I can't remember. I don't know if Cedric was there or not. I mean, all these people that blew up, except me. And then freaking what's this fuck? And Chris. Huh?
Oh, you were talking about Chris Tucker?
Well, yeah, so we're in the back, and the guy comes back, and this guy's name is Dose. Dose was a gangbanger who had committed some really bad crimes when he was young. He'd been in prison for like 20 years. So now he's emceeing gigs and trying to be a comedian in his late 40s. Rough dude. But he was kind of funny. He came back, and he goes, all right, you guys, I got your back. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I need somebody to come up and step up and go first. Who's going to do it? And everybody points to my white ass. Everybody points to me. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I've been in some scraps, but I didn't survive prison. This is some BS, right? So I walk out first. This is exactly how it went. I don't remember how most of the gig went, but I remember how the introduction went. He said, follow my steps, white man. Follow my steps. I said, okay. He goes, well, I'm going to come out there. I'm going to introduce you. Those, and then insert your racial slurs, are going to give you a token clap, a golf clap that you white people know those golf claps, right? Because they ain't seen you yet. They're going to test your white ass. Now you come out there. Now here's what you do. you tell the most unfunny joke you've ever told in your life so you can get the booing out of the way.
Yeah.
I said, what?
That's
I said, what are you talking about?
Holy
The
shit.
booing? Yeah, the booing. Because he goes, they're going to test you. So don't try to be funny and forget that part.
Mhm.
So just suck immediately and get the booing out of the way. I'll be behind this curtain, right? Okay? As soon as it dies down, we're going to pick the biggest, insert your racial slur in the crowd, out. And we're going to mess with his mama. All right, let's have a good show, guys. That was my freaking start to this show. I'm going, we're going to do what? What?
Oh my
So
God.
now I'm going out there. Dude, I had nothing to drink. I couldn't swallow. Like, and they can't see me now. I mean, this is bad, right? And it's
You're
all
like
carjacked.
Tobias Beecher in Oz when he's cross-dressing.
It was, dude, it was. This was not Fed Pen either. I mean, this was the real deal. So I go out there, and I don't remember. I said some stupid crap like, "Oh," he goes, "Don't skip the steps, cracker. Don't skip the steps." And I go, so I go, oh, jeez. All right, guys, good to be here. Frequent flyer miles. They're piling up. Where are we going? You know, some dumb stuff like that. Right? And so now, dude, there's a pause. And then this dude just gets up and goes, "Get this mother, you know what, off the stage." And they all start booing me. Now, 300 carjackers, murderers, rapers are booing me, right? Which is unbelievable. He's in the back going, "I got him. I got him." I go, what? As soon as they calm down, we got this fool. I go, they sat down. It was 10 o'clock, Army, 10 o'clock. I look, the dude he was talking about was so big and so muscular. He looked like he could curl 20 pounds with his freaking earlobes. I mean, this guy was unbelievable. And here's the worst part. So I told him to stand up. He goes, "Chop him up, white boy, chop him." I go, because it's the only way we're going to win him back. He gets up, dude. He gets up, right? He looked like Tiny Lister. You know who Tiny is?
Yeah.
He looked like him, but even bigger. I go, "What's your name?" He said, I think something like Daryl. And he sounded dumb, dude. So now he's stupid and really big. So it's super scary. Super scary. I go, "Daryl, could you turn to the left and the right for me? Now back." Yeah, you're used to doing that anyway for pictures. Okay, yeah. So what you have is you have like this knot coming out of the back of your head where your crack mom squeezed her ass and popped you out. If you could hair from the front over the back, you wouldn't look so fucking ridiculous. Now sit down. I said some shit like that to this guy. Now there's a pause and the place explodes because they can't believe I just signed my own death warrant. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way I'm making it out of here with this dude. He sits down, but now he's staring daggers. Everybody's going crazy. What they didn't know about me was two things. I knew Snoop Dogg was not in that prison, which will make sense here in a minute. And I also knew how to play the dozens. You're like your mama game. So I was doing your mama back and forth with this guy and torching him, and they were just going nuts. He got so mad at me. He did something in the history of prison guys I've never heard of, ever. I'd asked earlier, I said, "Let's get to know everybody in here, okay? How many people are in here for murder? Let's go." Whoop, whoop, whoop. You know, and then, you know, because nobody's guilty of anything right now. Well, he stood up and goes, "I'll tell you what I'm in here for." And I go, "What you in here for?" He goes, "Carjacking a bitch like you." And I said to him, I go, "What'd you carjack?" Now, come on, guys. If you're making up a lie anyway, what kind of car did you jack? What do you think? Mercedes, BMW?
Prius. What year was this? What year was this, though?
This is like the 90s. This is like the late 90s.
Ford Taurus.
There you go. This dude goes, he stopped himself, but he got most of it out. He said, "A Pinto." I said, "What?" And the guy behind him goes, "Man, that fool said a Pinto." Now the place is done. They're done, dude. They're done. They're in the aisles. Guys are grabbing their faces. One guy walks away. The guards are even shaking their heads. You know what I mean? Everybody's going crazy. I felt bad for this dude.
Yeah.
He goes like this. He goes, "You know what, white man?" He's getting all pissed now. And he goes, "I'm going to say, you were talking about Snoop Dogg earlier. I'm going to get you." And I go, "Snoop Dogg? Why do you care about Snoop Dogg?" "Because he's my cellmate, mother beep." And I go, "Cellmate? We're in Chicago. Snoop is in LA." And I knew that in my head. So I had to mess them up, guys. This is kind of like not the family portion of the show.
No, we're uncensored.
We're
We don't
Oh,
ever.
good, okay.
Yeah,
So I
no,
said,
there's
"Sir,"
no rules here. No.
I said, "Sir, you have what's known as an afro. Now, if you turn just to the left, Yeah, you have a dent in the afro on your left. Is that where Snoop lays his cock at night when he promises you a record deal? Now the place is completely done. Like there's nobody. Oh, it's unbelievable. And so now everybody's flipping the hell out, going crazy. Dose is back there going, yeah, yeah. Like he's getting into it, you know. The dude, the big dude that's off to my 10 o'clock. I look over him real quick, and he had this grin on his face. Like, oh, thank God, thank God. So I leave the stage, right?
Yeah.
Go out, they do the rest of the show. Guy walks up and gives the biggest compliment I ever had in comedy to this day. He goes, I still hate white people, but you're kind of funny. And he walked away. So I got a prejudiced black guy to think I was funny. So I knew something was working right, you know? So that was the scariest gig I ever did.
Oh my God.
I was like, yeah, dude, it was nuts. Dude, it was nuts.
That's got to be one of the scariest moments ever when it's like, you got dudes standing, like we all know and possibly have seen that video of the dude smacking homeboy with the guitar. That's like what a lot of comics consider to be a horrible night. You went into one of, and I'm gonna say this because Joliet Prison is one of the most famous fucking prisons ever. Like that is one of the best. And you fucking destroyed them. That's fucking dope, dude.
You know what? I did left out one little part about the story that actually scared me more than all that.
Please
tell.
One,
there's one white boy over in the corner. He was the only white prisoner in the whole pile. He had 2 guards around him. Let me tell you something, okay? Dude, he wasn't any bigger than you are. Maybe a little smaller. And he's got guards. Nobody else had guards. No one, dude. Okay. So I look over at him, I'm like, and he's got people sitting behind him. And I go, yo, homie, what's up? Like, I was trying to, like, relate with this dude somehow, right? You know? If you're whitey, dude, there were guys behind him in the other colored, you know, because they got different colors, like orange, blue, and then, like, light yellow for the worst one. It's like the worst you get is a different color. The guys the worst color on are behind him giving me the be quiet sign. Now, think about that for a second. How bad would you have to be before real bad people go, don't talk to him? Think about it.
It's like Steve Buscemi and Con Air, man.
Yes, Danko. So I'm looking at this guy, but you know, I'm too far gone. I've already talked to murderers. Screw this guy. We got this. I'm white. You're white. Let's do it. You know. So anyway, so basically, I go, what's your name? He looked up at the guards that were standing there, and they just kind of shrugged their shoulders. I'll never forget his name. He said, my name is Seamus McCracken. Dude, are you ready for this story?
Yes, please, because I know the IRA is involved.
Yes, it is. Because what happened was they were transferring this dude to the big supermax somewhere. So he was only in that prison for like 2-3 days, but he happened to be there. So they said, hey, let him out. Like, you know, if you supervise him. I was talking to a full-blown fucking terrorist, man. And he did, and I didn't say it to him. So I kind of went, you know, I kind of said something else to him, and he kind of, you know, and then that was it. And then I got back to doing the show, and then, you know, ended the show good, and we left. So I go up to the dean or the warden. That's where I found all this out. I go, who's the white guy? And he looked at me and goes, well, he blows shit up. Mm-hmm. He said to me, he goes, I can't give you much information. I can't give you his personal details, but just let you know, yeah, that's what he just, and he walked away. The dean or the warden walked away and didn't give me any more information. So I started hunting around the guard. And I go, dude, just tell me, who's that guy? And he goes, oh, we're transferring out to the Supermax, dude. Yeah, he's scary. Now, when a prison guard says he's scary, he's scary. Because those guys see everything, dude. They see everything. And here I am going, hey, bro, what's up? You know, I go, what's up, homie? And the dude's a freaking like stuff.
I was about to say, one of my favorite episodes of Oz ever. I think it was the finale of season 4 was the dude bringing the pressure cooker into Emerald City, the IRA member who was like giving O'Reilly shit. Like, to me, like, those dudes, especially what they've seen. I mean, we were joking earlier on our 17th episode about like, or we actually used Zombie or we sang Zombie on our or did we do that off air?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Just get to that. I have no idea what you're talking about, man.
Well, no, Zombie's about the
Zombie by the
IRA.
Cranberries?
The song Zombie. Okay, yeah. Cranberries. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We were talking about that. And like that's about the IRA. Like that's a song about even one of my favorite songs of all time is called "The Man from the Daily Mail," where every time I showed up, they would shoot me as a yeoman. Like the IRA don't play at all. Like that's a group of people in society where, like, if I was in prison and I found out my cellmate was in the IRA, I'd be like, I'm gonna make friends with that guy. Like, I know.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even know. Like, they didn't confirm for me that he was in the IRA, but we're all kind of assuming that. But
he blew shit up, so probably he at least was a patsy at one point.
But I'll tell you, man, for me, like, and they were watching him all the way out. But like I said, when that black dude came to me and said, "Man, I still don't like white people, but you're kind of funny," dude, I was dying because he hated my white ass. He hated my white ass from like 5 yards away, baby. But it was beautiful, man. But all those stories. It's all worth it when you go into a club, 25 minutes, half hour, 45, whatever you're doing, 10. It doesn't matter, and you can smash it. You never take it for granted. I don't care how hot you are that week. You can still die at the end. You know that already coming up, but you just do your thing and do your thing, and it's a high. People say, "Well, what about comedy? What about MMA?" And I say, you know what? It's addicting. It's almost like it's more important than the rest. Stuff that comes with it, because without it, you're not the same person. Like I've been off stage for a long time now, guys. I'm not the same person I was. I know I'm different now. I'm good for the MMA world, but the rest of me is just sitting in this limbo state because I'm not doing what I want to do. And it's really like with all the rest of the shit. The worst part about all this stuff after Floyd is like everybody is at everybody, and I'm just as guilty. And I hate it because you know what, dude? Any comic I've got into with on Facebook, or we don't see eye to eye politically, that doesn't mean shit to me. I mean, I hope it doesn't mean shit to them. I really don't. Because if you were ever good to me on the road, if you were ever decent to me, then I got your back. I don't care if you and me vote for different presidents. I don't give a fuck what. If you were ever good to me, I never forget bad either, so I'm kind of bad that way. But I never forget good. I never forget good. If you were good to me, you could be a stark raving left lunatic for all I care. If you were good to me, I got a little bit of love for you. And I really mean that. And I hope people know all this bullshit that we're going through right now. We got two guys that are just these two guys be the damn candidates is unbelievable.
I would never want to run for president in this day.
No
way, dude. Not
you couldn't even be. You can't be perfect enough. I'll tell you what I kind of wanted. Here's what I wanted. I know a lot of people are going to cringe, but
go ahead again. Free speech.
I wanted Tulsi Gabbard.
Me too. Yeah.
That's who I wanted. Because first of all, she's smoking hot. Yeah. Second of all,
Truth.
Super smart. She was in the military like me. She saw more combat than I did. And she's got a head on. She's smart. She's sane. She knows how to lead. Why isn't that a good choice? I mean, just help me out. I would have voted for her. I'd have voted for her.
I don't know about Tim, but I'll give my political statement on this.
I mean, go ahead.
To be honest, it's just, dude, like the establishment in the Democrat, and I'm a registered Democrat. Like I am. My voting record is Democrat. Okay. Yeah. But in this last couple years, it's like there's just this. I hate to say, but keeping of the old guard is a weird thing to say, but it's true because they're keeping people who as a voter of the Democratic Party, I grew up, my father was a Democrat, my mom's conservative. Like I have a weird thing, but I've always been a liberal guy. I'm for, and I'll put here, I'm going to do this real quick for anybody that's really going to get shitty on this statement. I'm for LGBTQ rights. I'm for the everything that the Democratic Party should be. But I consider this party, especially after the 2 times that Bernie got fucked.
He did.
Yeah, it's like I can't. How can I say this? Libertarian Democrat. That's how I look at the way Like, I'm not, I'm for free speech. I'm for, all these kind of things, but I'm mostly left because I want us as a society to be better. Like, I'm not putting this rainbow behind me to make a statement. I just thought it'd be kind of cool. Actually, I put, Tim Danko can attest to me. I said the words, I just want to add this to my background. Like, it's not making a political statement. It's not making any kind of thing. It's more or less,
Fun.
I am for whoever it gives me the freedom to be the person I am, which is a comic.
See,
Continue.
yes, that's exactly how I feel. I feel the same way. And the funniest thing is, so you come out of the Army, you come out doing the bodyguard work and all that crap I did. So I'm very conservative growing up, raised a very conservative kind of thing. But I start getting out in the LA scene, movie scene, blah, blah, blah. And what I find out is, after a while, and what really got me going, I'll try to make this short. 9/11 changed me a lot from being as far right as I was, because I was good with people. I never hated anybody because they didn't look like me, but that was about it. I was a very right-wing guy. And then 9/11 happened. I went back to the recruiter office. And I said, look, if they're going to come over here, let's just do this shit. They go, well, you got to give us 2 years. I go, I already got my honorable discharge. I'm not giving you used car salesman shit. Give me 1 year. Give me 5 weeks to see if I can shoot the balls off the gnat still. Stick me in the hornet's nest. I'm going to kill all those cocksuckers, send me back in a body bag. That's about what I said to him, because to me, on face value, we were under attack. And I was still young. I was still in that mode enough to where I'm like, no, we're going to go get this shit. Well, needless to say, it didn't happen. I wasn't going to give him 2 years. I leave, and for several months, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was James Woods. You couldn't tell me shit. You couldn't tell me. People ask, well, fuck you. You're not. I was that guy. And then one day, Jesse Ventura got on
the
Fox
body.
and Friends.
I was a fighter, a Marine.
The body. Yes. The body got on and asked one question, and it changed my life. He said, why did Building 7 come down? I will never forget how I felt after that, because I had no answers. There were no answers, and nobody was given any answers. And I'm not going to go on and on about this, but about that part, but I started seeing things bigger than me for the first time in my life. Like I really did. And I wouldn't say I became a lefty, but if you knew how I was raised and where I came from, I was in the middle, which looked left to a lot of people that knew me, because I'm asking questions too. Like, why did Building 7 come down? Why are we Yankee Doodle Danny this shit? If there's bad stuff, what's going on? And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. And I go, oh, so I'm crazy for asking elephant in the room questions. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I got you. Now I start changing. I knew that I definitely was pro marijuana, not because I smoked it, because I thought people getting put in prison for it is bullshit. I was pro gay marriage, because I thought if you want to be as miserable as me, go right ahead. There was plenty. I was one of those guys. I had a lot of tendencies that were kind of left from where I came from. I didn't think I was, I guess in both cases, I didn't think that I was, I thought I was left until I met real left. I thought I was right until I met real right. And I realized I'm neither one. That's when I realized, you know what? I'm kind of in the middle. Now, if that makes me a centrist, which I don't try to be, then so be it. But I think that you got to stay in the middle lane sometimes, guys, because I've had friends who are, I got friends on the far left, cops can do no wrong, or right. I got friends on the right, cops can do no wrong. I got people in the middle. So I'm kind of a hybrid of all those ideas. And all I say is this, I'm glad I'm not a police officer.
Yes.
Me too.
Because I couldn't do that job. And here's why I couldn't do it. They recruited me when I was in my mid-20s. I knew I'd be a bad cop. You know why? Because when you see little kids getting sexually molested and have to pull their father off of them, when you see women getting beaten almost to a coma because they didn't cook the mashed potatoes right, when you see little boys and girls getting a bullet through their head, plus all the people you're stopping on the road and everything else in the big cities especially, I knew at some point, guys, that I would be that cop that took the long way back to the station.
Good.
And
That's-
you can't be that
that's
if you're
something that needs
not.
to be addressed.
No, I know.
Honestly.
But here's the thing, though. You can't be that if you're going to be a police officer.
Exactly.
You have
No, I agree with you on that, Gene, for
who's
sure.
bragging in the back about what he just did. You got to take that scumbag into the police station and act like you didn't hear anything because it's not your job. And I knew how I am with that. I knew eventually it'd get to me. So I never filled the application out.
Good.
I didn't want one more bad cop. I didn't want to be one more bad cop. I'm not giving these guys excuses, but I'll tell you this. Every department should have a defragging mode. They should have counselors. Some do, some don't. And they should, because you know what? They suck it all in. The guys I was in the military with, Valhalla. Do you guys know what Valhalla is?
It is the beautiful, beautiful place that I am in right now, apparently, Valhalla.
Valhalla is a thing that deals with suicides for veterans.
Show that. Wait, you had a bracelet. I want to put a camera on you. Show that for people who want to be a part of Valhalla. So please, yes.
Valhalla project. Valhalla project.
Yes.
And it's for these guys that came back. Like I saw some combat, but these guys saw a horrifying amount of it. And they need, and the guys, let me tell you something about too. The guys that need the most help are not the ones asking for it.
No.
That's the worst part.
No.
Yeah, they got them on some like psychotropics, and they got the 1,000-yard stare. You probably even ran into a guy like that. It's a real deal. And so I basically, like, I wasn't going to be that bad cop. And listen, no matter what you see about me on Facebook, I do support law enforcement. I got to tell you, I'm not for a dirty cop.
No.
And
for sure.
What I've seen, what I've seen now, some of these guys is inexcusable. And I will say Breonna Taylor, what a fuck up that was.
Okay.
That was
good. Yes.
No, it was.
Thank you.
Well, it was. Look, they had the guy in custody at the station they were going to serve the warrant for. Now, how the hell are you going to justify that? I can't back that. Did you know that?
No, not at all. No, I've heard about that in the news. Yeah.
I was told that he was already in custody. The nose didn't even be there. And when you bust the door down and bullets start going, naturally you react. Brianna was a paramedic, first responder. She got killed. You know what? I'm not backing him on that.
No.
If you fuck up to that degree, I'm with the other side on those. Here's what I want people to understand, though. If you get rid of the police, and I know they don't always stop the crime, they show up afterwards, but you don't give the average person options.
Yes.
If you get rid of the police, the average person can't fight their way to the bag, let alone deal with somebody trying to crawl in the window.
Exactly.
We all wish we were all built like that. Now you come into my house unwanted and I'm awake, well, we'll take care of you. But I'm a little weird like that. But most won't. Most people won't. And when that lady in Minnesota said that they're going to get rid of the police in Minneapolis, but that they're going to have, I know they're going to have some of my guys still working my old job as their personal security. That's BS. You should be without it too. And then for Bender to say, well, they want to stay safe because of a place of privilege. You know what, lady? You walk out here in the woods with everybody else, then fine, let's get rid of them. But if you're going to hire guys like me and guys younger than me and guys older still in it to protect your backside, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong about that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you should give them armed vehicles or you should let them do whatever. And another thing, and this is one suggestion I got to show you that I do care. Because if you've read some of my Facebook stuff, you'd probably say I don't. Internal affairs needs a neutral voice in the middle of it.
Thank you.
Because if I let's say I pull you over, let's say I pull you and Danko over, right? If I was a cop, and I'm just in a mood, and you guys get a little smart with me, I give you a fresh one across the bill. Now, that's old school, by the way. But okay,
knocking head.
I didn't knock any teeth out, nothing. But Now these guys are my home team. So you understand, if I did something, like if I really hurt you or really did something to you that they can't get me out of, I'm screwed. But otherwise, my home team is getting me out of the problem. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
My God, they might be in suits, but if I didn't screw up that bad in their eyes, especially if we're in Detroit or some rough town, they might be like, whatever. You have one neutral voice in there, like a moderator, somebody who you can't have a bunch because you got to have people that have done the job too. I understand that, but you got to have some neutral person in there. to offer an opinion to these guys that if this dude really is an egregious offender of people's rights and he's being a dickhead, that they hear that from an outside of their own heads, and maybe they might go back and go, you know, we know what we're going to do with this guy, but we're definitely giving him a suspension of like a couple months till he figured it out, as opposed to just shoving him right back out there in duty
Yes.
after he's done something he shouldn't have done. Now, that's what they should do. I think that's what they should do. I'm not for defunding guys, because in Cleveland, the city you're in, and I heard the stats.
I'm in the suburbs, so
good for you.
Well, I mean, it can get nothing. Luckily, has happened in one, my hometown, which is Menor, and two, my mom's hometown, which is Willowick, which is where I stay now.
You're good.
Yeah, it's good. They understand what's going on. The one thing I've never understood, and you brought the name up, and for the people that are watching this, we don't get political often, but at the same time, we do have opinions. Internal affairs to me is almost like, if you remember, you're old enough to remember, Gene, the Italian American League. To me, it's where they protect their own, but they know that there's criminal element in there that they are going to protect.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I find that egregious because of the fact that it's basically like, it's because policing to me and policing unions, they're not policing in general. Like, I've never met I'm one of those people, and I hate to say this, I'm one of those people that just hands the license over immediately, so I don't have to get the attitude.
I do it.
That person.
I do it too.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Well, no, believe it or not, they're even of white people. I'll tell you a story. Fuck, let's put the camera on me. And I was coming back from a Mushroom Head show, and a buddy of mine got. Why are you laughing?
Because every time we have an interview, you bring up Mushroom Head. I have
This
no
is
idea
an
why.
actual.
He asked every fighter we have on, "What's your favorite Mushroom Head song?" And
yes,
they're all
what
like,
is
"What?
your favorite Mushroom Head song?
What?
Do you know Mushroom Head?
What's my favorite song on mushrooms?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's different, man.
But we were coming back from this concert at Peabody's in Cleveland, and my buddy started giving them fucking shit. And I look at him, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm the one driving this car.
Right.
Like, I don't need your shit on top of what I already am dealing with. Because I'm dealing with a lot out of because of the fact that this guy has already pulled me over. I missed the kid. I did miss the guy's street and kind of like be a little weird. I wasn't drunk, believe it or not. I had Monster that was actually sold to me by one of the old Mushroom Head. Oh no, it was a Ventana show. Ventana and Circus of Dead Squirrels. I'll never forget that night as I live, because Circus of Dead Squirrels is a great band. But like, I've always been the kind of guy who believes the old mafia tactic, which is be nice to the cops. You haven't done anything.
Right.
What do you have to hide? Like, they have nothing on you besides the fact that your car, or you fucking missed a road and now you're going to turn around and fucking thing. You know, I feel like a lot of people, and it's not, and let me clarify here. Hold on. Let me again put the camera on myself. I'm not talking about George Floyd. I am not talking about Breonna Taylor. I am not talking about any of those people right now when I am talking. I am talking about people who are mouthy with the police for no good reason. No good reason. And it's,
you know what?
Yeah.
But listen, on that very point, I've always said a few things, and this goes for anybody. People say, "Oh, white people are fine." Let me tell you something. You see some of the things these guys see.
Yeah.
And you're the guy they pull over and you got an attitude for them. You don't know. I've seen, look, white people get shot too, but nobody ever talks about that because that doesn't move the ratings.
Yeah.
They don't. Listen, I mean, it's true. Yeah, we're more of us, but they do get shot.
No, I'm agreeing with you on this. Trust me. I'm not like yeah.
And I'm not all discounting that there isn't a problem, but I'm saying I got my license out. When they come to the door, they go, "Hey, you know, blah 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 blah," and I go, You know why I stopped you? You were going 20 over. I go, sorry. I take my license and they leave. I'm not giving that guy crap for 2 reasons. Number one, because of what I just spoke of. I'm never going to assume I'm safe. That's just stupidity. Number two, if I want to fight this bastard, I can't make him remember me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if he remembers me, and I did that in California, the dude remembered me. And after continuations, they showed up when I fought the ticket. Now, I got lucky. I should have brought a lawyer probably. I won, but I only won because I disgusted the judge less than the lady before me. I promise you. I don't know how I did it. So I got out of there. So what I say is, don't do that sovereign citizen bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't talk about your freaking rights. Nobody gives a shit. Get this stuff out of your face as fast as you can.
Thank you.
The way you do that is shut the hell up. Those guys, those two lawyers that shut the fuck up Friday.
I love them.
Those guys are funny.
Get these fuckers out of your face, because you know what? You just never know. You never know. Now, I will tell you this story you might not know about me. People think, oh, Gene Walker. By the way, I want to point out something real quick to you guys.
Yes, feel free.
So anybody
Again,
knows
free
this.
speech, sir.
Yes. Everybody assumes, and I broke up a little scuffle one time. This is unbelievable. Then I'll get back to the other thing. This scuffle between a clear boomer, clear millennial. And how do I know? Because I could have closed my eyes and heard the conversation, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I already knew, but it was right in front of me. It wasn't on the internet. It was so weird. The boomer, as you know, mama jeans, tucked in t-shirt, big belt, hat, white tennis shoes.
Mm-hmm.
The millennial, skinny fucking pants. I think his beard had like 9 people living in it. I don't remember. They're getting into it, right? So they're getting it. But Tim wears it like the Manimal guy on wrestling. I love it.
Agreed.
So, yeah. So they're going back and forth. But when they're about to get into a fight, And I'm like, I don't want to see these two guys fight, because number one, they can't fight. And then and number two, I don't want to see them get hurt. So I stood in the middle and I turned into the dorky comedian guy, because I always have to try to make it funny, right? So I stood in the middle of this two and I go, listen, 2 things quick. Number one, Mr. Boomer, Mr. Millennial, you two think that you're number one, but you're not. I am from the greatest generation ever, including the World War II assholes. And they go, the old man tells me to fuck off. The young man goes, what are you talking about, dude? And I go, dun, 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 X. And I hit him with the X generation, because that's where I'm from, son.
Yeah.
People say, who is Generation X? I'll tell you. Generation X is all you hate about the boomers and all you hate about the millennials swirled up into one. That's who we are. Because we were raised by the boomers and we raised the millennials. And when I get into Walker's never been with the cops. He's licking the boot. Oh, really? After one of our fights one night in Valparaiso, Indiana, I go to the back and I tell my guy's opponent, he's a dirty little piece of shit, because he was a dirty little piece of shit. You know what? They got it now that he's got his whole family around him. He's got all these fans around him calling my guy. My guy was a black client of ours, not Aaron, another guy. They're calling him drunk Mexicans, calling him everything in the world. I'm telling them all to go fuck themselves. I'm telling them they got 150 screaming drunk idiots back there to go bite me, kiss my ass. Let's do it right now. I'm by myself, basically. My buddy's got my guy's got a broken hand, so he can only fight with one hand now. So they called the police back there to get rid of me, the troublemaker.
What?
Right? I know. So this dude comes behind me and goes, you got to leave. I look at him. I start walking. The cop pushes me in the back. I turned around without thinking. He's got 5 guys with him. I said, do it again. You're earning your money, punk. I'm going to tell you something.
Good boy.
Now,
that's awesome.
Would I have worked him? You know I'd have fucking worked him. But then 4 other guys beat me with billy clubs and tasing my ass. But anyway, so it was close. And it wouldn't have worked out for me. So I get outside, I talk myself down, I move on. Here's what I say. I don't want to see people get hurt.
No.
People think everybody's like, when I tell people, I go, listen, you're going to get some wrong people. These guys out there burning stuff down and hurting people and shooting people and beating. They're gonna do that in a town someday that's not run by a freaking commie mayor. And when they do that, they're gonna run into people like me, but worse than me. And when that happens, people are gonna get killed. This Antifa and beyond, their shit's gonna go down. They don't know. If you don't like guns, do you know what all this shit's done for gun sales?
extremely thrown them through the roof.
Horrible,
Yeah,
dude.
for
I mean,
sure.
I got a gun, I got a 9, and I don't even want people to freaking handle guns. Half these people don't even know what the fuck they're doing. I don't want them to have weapons. Everybody's got weapons now. Everybody, people that don't even like them have got them because they're scared. And I'm sitting there going, and it doesn't make this.
Gene, like a guy that I knew that like we've split apart recently, he had a gun. I actually got to touch the 9 that he had, and I'm like, okay, at least the boy's taking care of himself, but at the same time, I don't trust this motherfucker. It's, I don't know, man. It's a weird thing of how much guns have spiked. Like
It's unbelievable.
It's insane.
I'm a Second Amendment guy. Everybody knows that about me. I'm good with
too.
it. I always say this.
Same here.
I always say your gun laws may be well intended, but all they're going to do is take it out of the law-abiding citizen's hand. Because I know plenty of criminals. And let me tell you, I'm not proud of it. They take the serial numbers off those things, guys.
Yeah.
You're not stopping nobody that would actually go in and shoot a place by your freaking gun laws. So here's what you do. You recognize, number one, that a lot of our people that need help need to. How much psychotropic drugs are we giving some of these folks? Is it the right?
That'd be honestly. I'm gonna stop you just because. What I want to do is have you on my the podcast I'm doing to talk about that, because both Tim and I have been. Well, no, here's the reason. No, here's the thing.
We have him on this podcast right now, brother.
I'm aware, but this is an MMA podcast, and I don't want to get that deep into
we haven't talked much about
psychotropics.
MMA. Yeah, we have. Yeah,
and
it's okay.
I got
That's
a guy
that's
to my left who's on psychotropics right now, and I trust dearly. Like I trust Tim. I've had too much vodka.
I got it.
But I trust Tim. But here's the thing. Like I'm one of those guys where I don't trust myself. But because of the fact that what we are, and we've both been on psychotropic drugs. Like Tim currently is on psychotropics, and they do help. Like the reason I'm putting they're legit. Him,
the legit need.
Yeah,
right.
There is a legit need for psychotropic drugs, but I think we've been
overdrugged.
Yeah,
very possible.
Yeah, for sure. Because of, and there's a lot of things. Again, when I start doing my podcast, you and I can definitely do that. But like, it's psychotropic drugs, and there's MMA fighters on psychotropics as well.
You know what? The guys that are fighting, let me tell you something about this. It's funny. And I hope that and this is just my opinion, I really hope that this whole weed thing goes away.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's no way, if you got so you got to figure, guys, MMA is in 150 different countries.
Yeah.
The markets for this thing, the audience is massive around the world, but only 20% of that audience comes from America. But think about this. If you go to, let's say, say Brazil or whatever, the amount of testosterone replacement ratio you're allowed in a country like that is astronomically larger than it is in a place like this, as an example, right? And yet, if you pop once for that, it's bad.
Yeah.
When somebody says to me marijuana is a pop, depending on how many I don't even know what the guy said, but it's so in other words, it's nanograms or it's something where the amount of it can be reduced. In other words, if it's a low amount, they won't pop you with the same amount that you would if it's a higher amount, but it's all the same thing. I think they got to let it go, because I don't think personally it's the same thing. If you tell me I'm going to get in a fight tonight, my old ass is going to have to go scrap tonight, and the guy that I'm fighting is on marijuana. Yeah, he probably loosened up his nerves. He probably was a little more relaxed, which is bad for me because he's looser. But let me tell you something. What's the difference between that and Vlade freaking Divac back in the day playing for the damn Lakers, smoking Camels before he went out there to run 5 miles? And is that a performance-enhancing drug? Are you shitting me? Like, think about this, man. It's like that can't be the same. Now, this other dude is juiced to the gills. He's juiced to the gills. Now, what we know about, I've been in a fight with a guy on roids. My whole thought with that was, I'm gonna wear him out, not by beating him down. I'm gonna make him move. I'm circle away from his power shot. He was a clear righty. I'm not going to let him land the right. He's got about 3 minutes, maybe 4, where he's going to go full bore. I don't want to take that power shot in 4 minutes. 5-6 minutes, I'm going to work him.
Yeah.
And that's what almost caught me with it, but I got out of the way. He's running after me. I'm circling around him. Eventually, he starts getting tired. Whacked him a couple of times, got him down. We were able to move on. But this guy, for the thing about roids is scary because for that first couple minutes, those superhuman strength, they don't feel shit, and you got to watch this. When you go to a cage, and that's why I said Israel Adesanya or whatever, this dude will take on anybody no matter what they look like. Whether it's Yoel Miro, whether it's freaking old boy from Australia.
Costa.
Yeah, dude,
yeah.
Dude, come on, man. Are you kidding me? Now, listen, I'm not going to go on record and say I think, but, but anyway,
right.
They're going to go fight. And what was crazy after Israel fought against Romero, he said, I don't know if you heard him quote, he's kicking him the whole fight. Did you know Israel couldn't walk good for like 5 days?
No. He broke his shin. He fractured part of his shin, because of the fact. And that's we can talk about this all day, man. Like, it's steroids in this sport are fucked. And there's a lot of guys who will use those advantages to make a name for themselves. And I'm gonna say this, when you're already in the Cuban wrestling room, you're looking for a fucking advantage, like immediately, sir. Like, you're looking for that next thing. I'm not saying Yoel Romero is on steroids, but I'm kind of implying because I don't trust Yoel Romero as far as I can throw him, especially after the stool incident. Like, that stool incident is fucked.
But you know what? On top of that, too, it's not suggesting that these guys couldn't perform without him. What I'm saying is this. They're already amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Yoel Romero is amazing. So whatever it is, if it is, it isn't. But if you take any guy like baseball back when you guys were probably like 1 or 2 or 10 or 5 when the home run chase was going on.
Yeah.
Those guys back then, it wasn't like Barry Bonds couldn't play ball. The guy was 39 home runs a year.
Yeah.
He was already going to go to the Hall of Fame, but he looked around and goes, well, Big Cat's doing it. McGuire's doing Andro, which is technically a steroid. Oh, darn right it wasn't on the list.
Fuck yeah.
So he goes and gets his big head, literally and figuratively, and everything else, you know what I mean? And the next thing you know, he's out there hitting home runs. Now, does that mean that he can't hit a baseball? No, you can't hit a fastball. You can't hit a fastball. You can't see an off-speed pitch. You can't see an off-speed pitch. But if you got roids in you, you're hitting the ball 10, 15, 20 feet more. And now when you go to the longest park, you got 2 extra home runs. When you go to wherever, you're getting 5 extra home runs. And if your agent was smart enough during the roid era and they got a power hitter, I'm going into San Diego River and saying, if my guy hits 48 home runs this year, which is 13 above his average, he gets $1 million bonus or some shit. They were signing these contracts back then, guys, because nobody really picked up on the roids thing until it was just full-blown rampant, where it's like, God, are these football players?
Fuck, yeah.
You know, so if you picked up your bonus that way within the middle of the 13th paragraph, little A1, and you put that bonus in there, the whole year, all you're hoping is he doesn't get beamed in the head and he gets 48 fucking home runs or whatever you put in there. And it does give you length. It gives you, stretch ability on those balls. It does not give you the ability to hit the ball because you can't do that. You can't do it anyway.
No.
So I know in all of fighting, I'm scared when I see a dude that's juiced up. Years ago, you ready for this one? We're in Michigan at it's King of the Cage, but it's on the peninsula.
Oh, so, yeah, okay.
So the only people that are doing the damn physical is one doctor. Are you ready for the physical? You ready for this?
Please tell me there's a testicle grab.
Yeah, I wish. No. He puts the stethoscope to the chest. Yeah, he's breathing.
I'm a wrestling fan, so I'll throw this.
Oh, me too.
And also, I hate to say this, but we're gonna have to cut the episode a little early. But Gene, I have a question for you. Would you be down for part 2? Because if you're already a wrestling fan, one, Tim hates wrestling, so I'm already in. But I like Tim's face. But yeah, we've been going for a while here. But would you be down for part 2?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely. Yep.
cool. Then perfect. I love it. But continue your story. I want to hear this, and then we'll end the podcast, and we'll do a part 2 down the line for sure. Because I do want to get into your agenting, all that kind of stuff. But finish your story, and then we will we will conclude the podcast, obviously.
Okay,
But
so this guy comes in and he weighs 155.3. My guy weighs in at 155.3. The stethoscope physical is over, and nobody's got blood work. That's how bad this is. Okay, this is bad, like Badlands. And I'm a new manager, new on the scene. You know, it's one of my first clients. I didn't know about how bad I was about to get got. So the guy that's weighing, or the guy that weighed in, he's got the shakes. Now, whenever you've been to a weigh-in and you see somebody that shakes, they're in trouble. They're really, like, they're in trouble. It's a bad cut. And he looks so bad. I could have pecked him in the head. He'd have fell over. He was just dead. He was dead on his feet. I told the promoter, or one of the guys, the matchmaker, I said, "What the fuck, dude? What are you doing with this guy?" He goes, "Oh, don't worry. He's going to go home and take care of some personal business. He's good." Okay. Now, the next day, this guy comes back. Now, remember, he looks like Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings at the weigh. But when he came back, he looked like RoboCop. The only thing he was missing was a freaking helmet. And I'm going to tell you this. I saw his tattoo that all of a sudden he had on his chest. I mean, he was enormous, dude. What he had done, and he admitted how much he weighed after the fight. He went from 155.3 to 184.4 in 24 hours.
What?
Now, are you ready for this? Let me tell you how he did it. He told us the whole process. They can't do shit to him. It's not a same. It's tribal ground. They can't do nothing to this guy. So what happened was what's called, I guess it's doping in a way, but it's not diuretics. It's where you take your blood, you put it in a cooler, and you take the temperature to a certain point to where it's not going to freeze when it comes back in, because you'll die if you put it in, it's too cold. But it's just the right temperature, and as soon as it hit the heat of those other cells, it expanded. Because when a cold goes to hot expands, cells expand. It was a steroid that wasn't illegal because it was his own blood. And as scary as it is for him to have done that, he did it. He was massive, dude. He was now my guy was pretty inexperienced. We had him lay down on a switch kick to the leg. He hit it, popped him a good one. This dude run up on him, pinned him against the cage. We're trying to get him to whizzer out, but he didn't. And because this guy just had him. We got underhooked, so he couldn't get thrown. He got heavy hips. He did everything he was supposed to do. And all of a sudden, they just kind of mushed to the ground for some reason. He's on top, got my guy in an arm triangle. My guy ain't hearing anything we're saying to get out of the arm triangle. And he lost. But he didn't take any damage, because if this guy got up and started ground and pounding our guy, he might have died, because my guy only put on 6 pounds.
Wow.
So now we had a 184 guy fighting against a 160 guy or whatever he was.
It was unbelievable. The muscle is definitely different for sure.
Unreal. He tells me basically he will look somewhere between where he did and what he is now a few days later, and that's it. He admitted the whole process to me, and I just stood there and stared at this guy. This is insanity, man. This is fucking insanity. So after that, I didn't do many non-sanctioned.
I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you.
Who do I complain to, guys? Who do I walk and go, this guy did this? The guy with the stethoscope? Are you shitting me? He's going to be like, so?
Yeah.
He looks pretty big. Okay, good talk.
That's ridiculous,
you're dead in the water. You know what I mean? I got so many stories, dude. Many stories about dummy situations.
Well, I will say part 2 is going to be fun as fuck, man. I'm excited. We've done literally 2 hours or an hour and a half or hour of amazing podcast with this sexy man right here known as Gene Walker. And I'm happy. And honestly, there will be a part 2. Probably if you're available next week, I want you back on to tell more stories and all this kind of shit. For sure, brother. Like, it's a lot of your stories I want to hear more of them, and I'm very happy the fact that you are willing to, I hate to say the word expose, but a lot of fucking athletic commissions are just dirty. And the fact that you talk, about them the way you do is fantastic,
Well,
dude.
well, understand. Well, understand. The ones that are bad. There's a few, but there's a lot of good ones too. Be fair. I
Yeah.
mean, I got to be fair about this. And I think that
No.
they've gotten better over the years. I
Very.
think a lot of people, like I said, they didn't think MMA was going to stay around. I don't
Yeah.
think they thought MMA was going to stay around, but like Indiana's got a good one. Iowa's got a pretty good one. There's some really good ones out there. Ohio really has a lot of regulation. Like you can't do mismatches over there.
No
Real
way.
quick,
No, not at all.
Ohio protected my 0-1 guy one time as an amateur. When he was an amateur, he protected my 0-1 guy against a 5-4 guy because he said it was a mismatch. But they didn't know was he had 15 unreported fights that were all wins. So what he was doing was he was 0-1 sanctioned, 15-0 unsanctioned, or just unreported because they didn't make him report in Indiana. So basically, my guy was 15-1, and I couldn't say, well, he's really 15-1. And they're like, what are you talking about?
They were doing the right thing.
Like, yeah, for sure.
They were looking out for him. They were doing the right thing.
They were doing the right thing. You know what? I got no problem with that.
And there's a lot of guys that I see will fight in other states that Ohio would never let fight. Like guys who are like 10 and 30, they would never let those guys fight at all.
Right.
Over here. Never.
Right. So
ridiculous.
So there's a lot of good ones out there. There's a few bad ones. The good ones are starting to come around. I'm very happy to see South Dakota doing the fights. Yes. I am one of the guys that believe that we need sports out there. I am that guy. I don't care what anybody says. I am that guy. But I also say, hey, be smart too if you can. I'm not.
Yeah.
But it's just at this point, it's like the college kids. And one quick thing, you noticed. I know, guys, you get ready. All of the conferences playing football. Did you notice that all of them are not playing based on the states they vote for and the people they vote for? And real quick, Pac-12 is all blue. Not a peep about playing. They're good.
Yeah.
ACC is mostly conservative, a little bit of liberal in Duke. They had a little bit of argument in Notre Dame, but now they're okay. The SEC,
even Ohio State and or the Big Ten out here in our area, they're arguing. Tim brought it up earlier where
they're split. They're split. Iowa, Nebraska, and Ohio State all want to do it, and all these other states don't. They're arguing about it because it's split. The Big 12 is all red, so they're doing it.
Yeah.
You can't tell me it's a coincidence, guys. You can't tell me it's a coincidence because all Mountain West is all left, and they're all not playing. The Southern small conferences are. So it's all about who you like, what you feel politically. And my whole point is this: I don't know shit about fucking COVID-19, guys.
Neither do I.
I'm not Dr. Fauci. I don't know shit. All I know is that when he said masks were ceremonial, the people that wanted masks didn't listen to him. I thought you listened to science. CDC said the same shit. Use a mask when you got the freaking the symptoms. Say it, but you're not listening. I thought you said listen to the science. So my point is this: everybody listens to whatever the fuck they want to listen to nowadays. Whatever serves their purpose. Is it real? Is COVID real? It is real. But can I tell you something? We've had pandemics before. Why the fuck didn't you shut down then? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
so now what
I agree. And
so being fair, what do? Do I completely ignore it? No. Do I completely believe it? No. So what do I do? Right now, I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean?
It is what it is when it comes to that. We will definitely part 2, sir. Part 2 will happen. I want Gene on this again. We will label this as Gene Walker Part 1. Next week we will have Gene Walker Part 2. Gene, dude, I'm so happy we got together for this. I'm very happy because of the fact that you have so much knowledge, and it's definitely something I want to keep. I'm cutting you off just because of time, obviously, and I will admit that to myself. But at the same time, my brother, it's great the fact that we get to have a guy like you, especially, who has been through the fucking ringer, dude. As an agent, I do not envy your job at all, and I respect your job because you are the one representing fighters for what they should give. Aaron Mitchell, also, I'm going to throw out, go follow Aaron Mitchell. We're going to try and have him on as well. I would love to have him on.
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's because we're trying to get this podcast to be, no offense, the #1 podcast for MMA ever.
No offense taken, baby. What you doing it for if you ain't gonna be #1?
Right.
That's what we do.
Fuck yeah, brother. And
Fuck yeah.
and I cannot wait to do part 2 with you because I have questions and I'm very happy with this episode. This is one of our, in my opinion, one of the best episodes. Tim Danko has his hand up.
I'm waiting for you to throw it at me. No, I'm just saying, hey, everybody, I'm still here, right? I haven't said shit this entire episode. Well, that's cool. I actually said to Ray, this is very possible this will happen because I know Gene will go on, and I wanted him to, and it's been awesome. I can't wait to have him back. But I also said one of the things when we have interviews, the last thing I ever want to do is step on anybody. So sometimes, like today, I barely say anything because the last thing I want to do is step on our guest. I had opinions about stuff, but you guys kept going. He kept going. That's cool, man. It's awesome. Gene, thanks for being here, brother. Can't wait to have you back, man.
Be back because you guys are awesome.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I miss the whole Ohio crew. I miss all the comics over there. Even the lefties that hate my guts, I miss them too. I hate them. I hate them not a little bit. I don't hate them at all. I love them. And
well,
you know what?
that's the best part.
The best thing about our country, guys, it's America until they try to make it something fucking else. We all proved, as I sign off with you, we all proved one thing, and it's going to sound weird. We can actually like each other and believe this thing because we already knew each other before, and we were cool. You remember School Ties? Real quick. Remember School Ties? They loved Brandon Fraser. They loved Brandon Fraser until they found out he was Jewish. And all the white guys had to fucking act like, oh, no, now that we know you're a Jew, we can't like you no more. Bullshit. He was your teammate. He was your brother. And I feel that way about the comics over there. No, they're all on the left. I get that. I love every one of them. They may hate me. I love every one of them, baby. Because you know what? We live in the greatest country in the world. It's #1. It's going to be #1 if we keep it that way. We need a lot of work. And I love you guys.
Absolutely.
And
we love you too, dude. Like, we love you with all of our hearts, for sure.
Dude, Kent State, I did Kent State twice, not the school. I did the Stone Cafe.
Stone Tavern.
Yeah, Stone Tavern.
Stone Tavern, yeah.
That place was great.
The crowd is
that place.
Great. The people were all good. It was Anthony Savat. He was over there. Everybody was great. Everybody was great. I love them all. And I don't care. If we don't agree on shit, it doesn't make any difference because in the end, if you got my back, I got yours. Fuck the rest of bullshit.
This is a podcast where I believe in free speech for anybody that wants to say anything because honestly, and we've seen some MMA fighters in the past who have had controversial issue or like thought process. I don't give a fuck because you're an MMA fighter. You're part of the entire family. And yeah, even though you have that idea, it doesn't change a thing because we all do the same shit, man. Like it's true. I've always said that. Like we do the same stuff. We've been through the same things. We've all, Tim, myself, yourself, we've all been through violence in our lives. And at this point, when you experience the training and all that kind of stuff, you learn no matter what the motherfucker next to you says, as long as they can roll and they can not treat you like shit, everything's fine. Like that's what martial arts should be, is a love of the same thing, but love that person regardless of what they believe in. Like I've always said the best martial artist is somebody who can actually be, where it's that idea of please, like I don't care about what you're doing, we're doing the same thing. And I honestly look at our situation, which by the way, you can follow us at broplata.com. And if you have anybody that possibly you would want on the show, send an email to broplata@gmail.com. We're always looking for guests. Gene was a great guest. He was a I hate to talk to you in the what's the word?
Karl Malone used to do it, third person.
Yeah, third person. But at the same time, like, I enjoy hearing you. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy being with you. And I think that's something as a society we've sort of gotten away from, if you will.
No
Where
question.
it's if you have the other thing, you yell. Tim is a fantastic guest. Oh my God. Vodka is definitely a thing right now.
For sure it is, Ray. What's going on,
And-
man? What are you doing? Figure out
and-
where you are,
But
buddy.
I'm just
you're trying
saying,
you're trying to sign off. It's okay.
I am,
And by the way-
yes.
And by the way, Danko, if you think about it, and I met you before I met Danko in a weird way. I mean, but Danko and me have been talking, and you know what we realized one time? It's our two biggest loves are comedy, sports, MMA.
Yeah.
And I mean, how could it get any better?
Exactly.
I mean, how could it get any better?
My
You can't.
favorite, man.
I always look at people and that's one thing that makes Tim and I amazing is because we
are amazing. You're right, Ray.
Yes, we are the greatest MMA podcast to ever exist.
course,
I
of
want
course.
people to know that.
You know what? Screw the rest of the competition. You get in there and you swing from the fucking hip.
That's my
all.
boy.
That's it, baby.
That is the goal, man.
Real quick, plug your social medias so people can follow you, do all that kind of stuff, because honestly you can help people, and that's one reason why I like you is you're an MMA agent. You see talent. Send all of your social medias right now, sir.
Okay, so I don't do as much social media as a lot of people do for a number of reasons. I don't do Twitter, and the reason I don't do Twitter is because if you heard what I actually thought in 33 words, the world would blow up. So I know better. I know better. But Aaron, I guys start looking at Aaron. Look up his tapes. Aaron Mitchell, AARON, Messiah. He's called the Messiah Man, and he's the big thing coming up right now. Any fighters out there that are like they're busy, they've been putting together some wins. And I don't represent a lot of people anymore, and it's just by choice. But if you're really good and you're working hard and you haven't got a fair shot, get old Danko or something. We're Fourth Down Management. I am on Facebook. If anybody sees me on Facebook, it's the number 4 with the arrowhead going straight down. It's Fourth Down.
I love
Fourth Down, because that's what would you do when you're down to your last play in life. That's how Fourth Down became. That's how Fourth Down became a company. I was down to my last play. And it's a metaphor for life. So if you see the Fourth Down Gene Walker, request me as a friend. If you heard me on this, we'll add you and we'll talk. And you'll find out real quick that holy shit, this guy's almost like a boomer, but not quite.
Tim, your social media, sir, please give them.
At Dig Danko, DIGDANKO. Gene, I just want to say, our dude, when we were talking about our fighter that we were talking about the other day, he's waiting on your call, brother. He's been waiting. So
I've called twice. I've got no answer.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Maybe you don't have his number because he told me you didn't call him. So after this, I'll make sure you have his number.
His number, please.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I will, because he said you haven't called. So maybe it's a number issue. And also, man, we would like your help with getting some other fighters, man. There's a guy from, I don't know if you know him, but he's from Iowa. I've been trying to get Travis Fulton. You know Travis Fulton at all?
I know who Travis is, but I haven't.
You don't know Travis? It's okay.
Well,
I've been trying to go through his Facebook, and they haven't really been getting back to me, but we're trying.
Travis Fulton has fought 1 million fights. You know that,
I
right?
know. That's why I want to have him. That's why I want to have him. He is he's the Cy Young of MMA. He's an unbreakable record. Yeah.
I love
He's fought, dude. He's fought so many times. If you compare all the fights I've been compared to all the fights he's been in, it's like I've never been in a fight at all. That's how many fights he's been in.
And like the reason I call him Cy Young is because things have changed. No one will ever break Cy Young's record because things have changed, and no one will ever break his record because things have changed.
Yeah.
No one will let someone fight 4 times in a week or whatever he used to do.
Oh, please.
For
That's
sure.
unbelievable. Nobody that cares about these kids at all would ever let this shit ever happen again. It's unbelievable. You know what? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put out a feeler to him and just see what he wants because he doesn't know me very well.
Thank you, sir.
But I
appreciate that.
like, it's unbelievable. Dude, what stories would that guy have to tell?
For sure, man.
Yeah.
For fucking sure, son. Like, why
son?
wouldn't that be a fucking thing? Like, that's awesome. And since they've all done their social media, I like to do it last because I am a narcissist.
Our president is too, so don't worry about it.
Well, we all know I completely was on The
Great. Here he goes with
Apprentice.
impressions.
I haven't
was
done
coming
one
eventually.
yet. I haven't done one yet.
I know. It's been a while, actually. I can't believe you went the whole episode without doing one.
You know what? I tell you what, I do a million impressions, but when I was riding down New Mexico tonight, the guy behind me, it's a guy. He can do Chris Cyborg's voice exactly.
Cyborg.
Oh my
That's
God,
funny.
yes.
If you hear that coming from a dude, I laughed so hard we almost crashed into a cactus or some shit. I don't even know. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Yeah, dude, unbelievable.
We appreciate you guys listening to the episode. Part 2 will be out next week once we get Gene's schedule completely together and we can do this again, because I want a part 2. But this has been the Bro Plata. You can find us online at Bro Plata, BROBROPA or PLATA. We appreciate you guys. And also, we are setting up, and I want to do this because I told Danko this. We are setting up a Venmo, and we're also going to do a Cash App, because honestly, our next level needs to get reached, and our supporters need to see or look at our links, because honestly, I want to make sure that we make money off this in a very,
Well, it's
very
all about the
sad way.
love, man. It's all about the love of it.
It's about the love. But if you believe in us, we want your patronage on this, because honestly, I don't want to go to Patreon. So Venmo and also Cash App, we're gonna set up stuff for that. Thank you guys for watching the Bro Plata on the lovely Wednesday that this is going up. And Gene, again, we're gonna do a part 2, because honestly, I want to ask you more about MMA agenting. I want to get your thoughts on all of that. We've had a lot of fun tonight, and we appreciate the fact that you took the time to be with us for sure. Like, dude, I'm happy as fuck, because again, like I said, I got to actually tell the story of how I first saw you before you became a stand-up comic. So it's like, yes, my boy Gene, yes. And again, follow us at Bro Plata on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're going to be posting things, and I don't know how I'm going to end this, to be honest with you.
I wish we were all still in college so I could be Frank the Tank and you guys be kids getting me drunk.
I'm
my
Dank the
boy,
Tank.
Blue! I love you, Blue!
Thank you guys for watching the Bro Plata. Again, Gene Walker part 2 will happen next week. Hopefully we can find a day for him to do it, but I do want a part 2 because there's so many more questions, my friend. So many more questions I have. And I'm very happy the fact that you were able to come on. And again, it's awesome just to have an agent on.
You said that 14 times already, Ray.
Because it's supposed to be, what's the word? Respectful. I think that's what it's called.
Say goodbye, Ray. Just say goodbye.
No, never. I will
You guys
never
are like
say
a
goodbye.
band.
We're outrageous.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Thank you, and continue to support
Love
the
ya.
Bro Plata podcast. We love you. Thank you.
Yeah.